The City of Elmhurst will be collecting pumpkins for composting at the Elmhurst Public Works Garage, 985 South Riverside Drive, on November 3rd from 9 a.m. to noon. This annual pumpkin composting event is held in cooperation with Scarce, an organization dedicated to inspiring people to care for the earth in DuPage County. Thousands of pumpkins have been purchased this season with the intended use of fall decor. When the season comes to an end, many of these pumpkins are thrown away. The City of Elmhurst has teamed up with Scarce to provide an easy outlet for residents and business owners to recycle decorative pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns. Why compost pumpkins? They are full of nutrients that are good for the soil. They are 90% water. Most of the pumpkins processed in the United States are grown in Illinois, so this keeps the water and nutrients here. Composting pumpkins returns nutrients and water back to our earth. All pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns can be dropped off at the event for composting. However, only the pumpkins themselves will be collected. Participants with jack-o'-lanterns decorated with stickers, candles, yarn, etc. should remove any materials in or on the pumpkin before delivering for composting. For more information about this event, please call 630-530-3036 or visit elmhurst.org.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst Candidate Forum. And this forum will be covering the general election on November 6th this year. We're starting out today with the judicial candidates running. They'll all be making a 3-minute statement. And then we'll follow suit there with some candidates that are, whose opponent could not attend today, so they'll just be making a statement. Then after that, we'll be moving on to the 47th Representative District. And then after that will be our DuPage County Board members from Districts 1 and 2. That race is running for 2 seats, so it's a vote for 2 in that one. The League of Women Voters of Elmhurst has been here doing this kind of work for over 86 years. So we're very proud of our work, registering voters, holding candidate forums, and community meetings. And we're a nonpartisan group, meaning we do not endorse nor oppose any candidates, and that's how it's been for 86 years. So we welcome everyone and anyone over 16 to join us, and would just welcome you to join us. Our next program that's open to the public will be at the Elmhurst Public Library, and that will be on September 27th at 7 o'clock at the library. And we look forward to having you join us. We'll be speaking about the referendum coming up in November for our Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205. So that will be an interesting topic of conversation there. I'd like to introduce you to our moderator this afternoon. We're starting out with Kathleen Quinn, excuse me. She lives in Bensonville. She's a league member, so she's moderating races that she may not be voting in. Kathy?
Yes. Thank you, Sue. Welcome to the Candidate Forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. My name is Kathleen Quinn, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters in Elmhurst, but I do live in Bensonville, in Legislative District 77. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. I would encourage you to pick up some of the League's information available here today or visit our website at lwvelmhurst.org. At this time, I would ask you to please turn off your cell phones, pager, and other electronic devices. I would also like you to refrain from applauding or in other ways demonstrating support or opposition for a candidate. No campaign literature may be passed out in this room. All questions, well, not right now, but all questions will be submitted to the League of Women Voters Elmhurst members walking around in here. No cards and pencils have been provided on which to submit your questions. Questions will be screened only for the appropriateness to the office of the Illinois State Representatives. Please signal a League member when you're ready to submit your question. So now let's get started on the judicial one. So there's 4 candidates up here, 2 for the Crestwell seat and 2 for the Farewell seat. So they're going to be given 3-minute statements. So do we want to start with Jeffrey first?
So I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having this event. This is awesome. I think this is the first time there's been a judicial debate in DuPage. My name is Jeff Jacobson. I'm running for judge for DuPage County. So if you live in DuPage, you can vote for the judges that are up here. I want to talk a little about me. So I've chosen to run as a Democrat. That tells you a little about my philosophies and beliefs. I've been practicing law for 27 years. I'm on the Inns of Court, which is an invitation-only organization of judges and attorneys. I'm the program director there. I was rated highly recommended by the DuPage Bar Association, which interestingly enough is the largest county bar association in the United States. I believe in certain things, and as a judicial candidate, I can't tell you how I'll decide in the future, but I can tell you what I've done in the past. So I've created law in federal court. I represented a lady who was beaten by her boss. She got an order of protection against him. He then fired her because she wouldn't show up to work because he wouldn't leave. We then went into federal court to argue that that's retaliation. At that point, it was pretty much determined that the law was that you can't sue for retaliation for having an order of protection against your boss. I argued successfully that when a female has an order of protection against her boss and they take away her health insurance by firing her, that's retaliation and that's wrong. And that case is referred by other cases in the state of Illinois. I was also the first attorney that had a father's driving privileges taken away because he wasn't paying child support. I'm very active in the community. I do the the Judges Night, which is a fundraiser for legal aid. This organization helps people that don't have money to hire attorneys. I love law. I've been doing it for 27 years. I also love public service. I worked for the state of Illinois as an administrative law judge, hearing and deciding on over 10,000 cases that impacted the individuals, families, and businesses. I believe the DuPage Courthouse is your courthouse, that I would be serving you if you elect me. So I hope you vote for me November 6th. My name is Jeff Jacobson, and I'm running for judge in DuPage County. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to turn it now over to Karen Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you, League of Women Voters. My name is Judge Karen Wilson, and I'm running for Circuit Court Judge. I've been an attorney for 26 years, and I've been a judge for 10 years. I sit in the DuPage County Courthouse on County Farm Road in Wheaton. I started the significant portion of my career in 1993. I became an assistant state's attorney, and while I was there, I focused on domestic violence and child abuse. I had over 40 jury trials protecting women and children, and I also had hundreds and hundreds of bench trials behind me before I decided to move on to the next phase of my career, because I wanted to learn more about the law and take on other types of cases. And so I went into private practice in 2001 after 8 years at the DuPage County State's Attorney's Office. While in private practice, I handled cases representing municipalities, representing small businesses, but the bulk of my practice was representing pharmacies and pharmacists in pharmacy malpractice defense. I handled cases throughout the country and throughout the state of Illinois, litigating many, many cases while I was in private practice. I did that until 2008, when I applied to be appointed to an associate judge position in DuPage County. And in that process, I was assessed by the DuPage County Bar Association. And back in 2008, I was highly recommended by the DuPage County Bar Association for the associate judge position. I was appointed to the position, and as I stated, I've been a judge for 10 years. In my 10 years as a judge, I've been assigned to misdemeanor courtrooms. I was there for 6.5 years. I focused primarily in those 6.5 years on domestic violence in the misdemeanor courtrooms. I handled more than 25 jury trials that were before me. And I also had a number of bench trials while I was in the misdemeanor division. In December of 2014, I noticed that we didn't have any women hearing divorce cases. We had a judge, Judge Davenport was hearing cases down on the second floor, hearing cases where members had children together, but she wasn't hearing divorce cases, and it bothered me that we as a county didn't have any women hearing divorce cases. So I volunteered to go to the Domestic Relations Division, and I've been there for the last 3.5 years, and I found it to be very rewarding. Over my career as a judge, and as my career as a prosecutor and in private practice, it's been my goal to be fair and impartial. And I plan on carrying on that goal if I'm elected to this position. You can learn more about me at my website, judgekarenwilson.com. Thank you.
I'd now like to turn it over to the Faywell seat with Linda Davenport.
My name is Judge Linda Davenport. I'm the Democratic candidate. What, do you want me to wait?
Oh, no, sorry. I thought it was Faywell. It's Cresswell. Sorry.
It's the Cresswell.
Yeah,
correct.
Sorry.
Thank you. I am still Judge Linda Davenport. I'm the Democratic nominee for the Circuit Court for a Kathy Cresswell seat. I don't say Judge Linda Davenport in front of my name to make myself sound any better. I say it because before I decided to run for this seat, you never heard the words judge, Democrat, and DuPage County in the same sentence. I am the first Democrat in 179 years to run as an associate judge for this position as a Democrat, and I'm proud to do that. I've been a lawyer for 40 years. I've been a judge for over 12 years. I've been in the divorce division for actually the last 12 years. And while I did hear paternity, I was also hearing divorce cases at the same time, and I've done that for 12 years. One of the things that I did is when I started my practice, I started with no clients. I started down in Downers Grove in an attic, And when people would call me to hire me, I would put myself on hold and come back with a different voice so that they would think at least I had an assistant. But I grew that firm, and within 10 years, I owned my own building. I had 3 partners, and I had 14 employees. I worked very hard. I went on to become the first woman president in the history of the DuPage County Bar Association in 1995. That organization, as Jeff said, is the largest county bar association in the country. It has over 2,500 members. It was founded in 1879, and I was the first woman president. I went on to be elected 2 times to the city of Wheaton, where I served on the Wheaton City Council for 8 years. I ran for associate judge, and I put in and I got it. And I was appointed by the circuits in 2006, and I started my career on August 31st of 2006. So it's been 12 wonderful years. I am the only candidate up here that's been a judge for 12 years. I'm the only candidate that is, in fact, a member of the teaching board of the Judicial College. I've taught for the last 8 sessions, each session every 2 years for the last 8 sessions. Finally, the last things I'd like to tell you is DuPage County has 9 women judges out of 45. That is well below the state average, as well below the national average. In the last 29 appointments, the circuit courts have circuit judges, have appointed 29 different lawyers to become judges. 6 of them were women. The rest were all men. I think diversity is what drives our system. Our county is rich in diversity. And I'm proud that a certain person was appointed in April of this year. But bottom line is, it's not enough. And I'm looking to bring more diversity to the bench and more women, all of whom must be qualified. It's not who you know, what party you're in, or who you're related to or married to. I'm Judge Linda Davenport. You can check out my videos. There's 5 of them at judgelindadavenport.com. Thank you.
Okay, I would like now to turn it over to Jeff McKay.
Sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Judge Jeff McKay. I'm a circuit court judge in DuPage County, and I've been a judge for over 5 years. In 2017, the Illinois Supreme Court unanimously appointed me as circuit judge, and because of that appointment in 2017, that's why I have to run in November. Over the last 5 years since I've been a judge, I started off in traffic, and then I was in the misdemeanor division. In the misdemeanor division, I heard domestic battery cases, and since my appointment in 2017, I hear felony cases now. So that means I hear murders, I hear sex assault cases, I hear drug cases, I hear gun cases. The worst that DuPage has to offer comes to me in the 5 other felony courtrooms. Since I've been a judge, I've presided over 20 jury trials, and that includes a double jury, and what that means is 2 co-defendants were tried at the same time because the evidence was similar. They both had juries, so there were 24 people in the courtroom at times. Sometimes there was 1 jury, sometimes the other jury was there. Depending on what evidence is being introduced and what arguments are being made, those juries have to switch back and forth. So I've handled complex litigation. Before this, or I should say, I'm sorry, also I've been a judge. I'm the chairman of the DuPage Domestic Violence Council. There we handle getting first responders, assistant state's attorneys, public defenders, the judiciary, and also the community to help deal with the abuse of elderly, women, and children. I'm also on the HOPE Task Force, which handles heroin addiction. Before that, I started my legal career, 20-year legal career in 1993 as an assistant state's attorney in DuPage County. While there, I prosecuted child sex offenders in the felony courtrooms, also adult abusers of the elderly. While I was in the assistant state's attorney, or the DuPage County State's Attorney's office, I tried well over 40 jury trials. After being in that office for almost 8 years, I left and went into private practice. And during a 12-year private practice, I practiced all over the state. Then finally, in 2013, I applied to be an associate judge, and you've heard my legal career. I am proud to be a full circuit judge, and I am proud to run for my spot. And while I've only been a judge for 5 years, the thing I'm most proud of are my ratings. All of the judges up here, and also Mr. Jacobson, who's not a judge right now, were rated by the Illinois State Bar Association. This is a bar association that has attorneys throughout the state, but they surveyed the DuPage County attorneys who appeared in front of all of us, who knew all of us. Those attorneys gave their recommendations, and of all the categories, I beat my opponent in every category in every time. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all listening to me.
Okay, our time is up for this forum. Please join me in showing your appreciation for these candidates. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving our freedom and our country. Please remember to vote on or before November 6th. One vote can decide the election, and that one vote could be yours. Thank you. I would now like to turn the floor over to Susie Glowiak for her statement for the 27th Legislative District.
Thank you, League of Women Voters of Elmhurst, for this wonderful opportunity. I believe in the American dream, that everybody is entitled to equal rights, including equal pay for equal work and equal opportunity for the best of their abilities. I'm Susie Glowiak, a lifelong Illinois resident, a degreed mechanical engineer, and lived with my husband and family in the western suburbs for 35 years. Because my husband traveled extensively for work, I worked part-time as an engineering consultant while my 3 children were in school. I was very fortunate to be able to continue working while being a full-time mom all those years that I will always remember very fondly. 7 years ago, when my husband was 55, he became disabled. When my husband was unable to work, I re-entered the workforce and found a full-time job managing a forensic engineering consulting firm in Oak Brook. I was married for 35 years, but sadly lost my husband 4 years ago to early onset Alzheimer's disease. My education allowed me to continue pursuing the American dream by working hard to provide my family. My community helped me as well by helping me keep the roof over our heads, food on the table, and while helping my kids pay for their college educations. I'm passionate about healthcare and community building, subjects that need to be front and center in Illinois. My family went through a financial and healthcare crisis when my late husband became disabled. Trying to re-enter the workforce, find quality care, dealing with the healthcare system and the costs associated with all of that created a lot of stress for my family, even with insurance. I will work hard to improve our healthcare system because healthcare crises affect everybody in Illinois, including the 24th Senate District. I'm passionate about Illinois becoming a leader in the healthcare industry and setting the tone for a national discussion on healthcare. As a citizen of Illinois and a mother, I am particularly concerned with protecting the health and safety of the families across Illinois through the passage of responsible, common sense gun legislation, the protection of a woman's right to control her own healthcare decisions, and with Trump's EPA rolling back regulations almost every day, it falls on the states to preserve and expand upon environmental protections implemented by President Obama. While a trustee in Western Springs, I worked to combine services with 2 other communities to reduce costs in dispatch of our first responders. I intend to do that. The same thing, the problem-solving techniques used to do that in Springfield to cut waste and redundancies while still providing needed services. I'm not interested in raising taxes. I'm interested in the efficiency of Illinois government.
Time's up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Our time is up for this forum. Please join me in showing our appreciation for Ms. Susie Glowiak. Welcome to the candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst. My name is Kathleen Quinn, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst, but I live in Bensonville in Legislative District 77. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation in citizen government. Providing this forum allows citizens to become better informed about issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. I would encourage you to pick up some League of Women Voters information here today or visit our website at lwvelmhurst.org. At this time, I ask you to please turn off your cell phones, pagers, and other electronic devices. I would also like you to refrain from applauding in ways demonstrating support or opposition of a candidate. No campaign literature may be passed out in this room. All questions submitted will become property of the Elmhurst League of Women Voters and will be destroyed after the forum. Note cards and pencils have been provided on which you can submit your questions and will be screened only for the purposes of duplication, clarity, and appropriateness of office of Illinois State Representatives. Please signal a League volunteer when your question is ready for submission. Also, signal a volunteer if you need additional note cards. This forum is for those seeking the office of Illinois State Representatives from the 47th District. The two candidates' positions are Jim Caffrey and Dina Misaki. And both candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to the forum. They will present a 2-minute introductory statement determined by the polling lots. The Elmhurst League has previously sent the candidates 1-minute introductory statements. The League has previously sent the candidates 5 questions, which they responded to first. I will then ask the questions obtained from the floor. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to our alternating order. Closing statements in reverse order of the introductory statements will be 2 minutes. League of Women Voters members will keep time, and the candidates will strictly adhere to the time limits. Candidates, please notice the timers. When you see the stop signal sign, you may finish your sentence. All right, let's start with opening statement.
For clarification, the opening is 2 minutes and the closing is 1?
Yes.
Okay, just one.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So let's start with Jim Caffrey for the opening statements.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking the League of Women Voters for hosting today's forum. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jim Caffrey, and I live in Elmhurst with my wife Mary and our 2 boys, Jacob and Dylan. I'm a dad, a coach, a board member of Elmhurst Youth Baseball, and the former secretary of the Churchville Middle School, of the PTA at Churchville Middle School. And like most other people in this district, I've had to juggle budgets, mortgages, and figure out how to pay bills. But I also know that I've been luckier than most, which gives me personal responsibility to give back. I've never run for office before, but I chose to run for state representative this year because I'm deeply concerned about the state's financial crisis and the absence of real leadership and political will to fix this situation. I feel so strongly that I gave up my career at a fantastic company just to run for this office. Today, public opinion is sharply divided. To be an effective state representative, you have to work for and respect everybody in your community, including those who don't agree with you, who didn't vote for you, and may never vote for you. Yes, I'm a Democrat, but I've shown my independence from my party by calling for a new Speaker of the House and running a campaign without any financial support from the Democratic Party of Illinois. I'm a moderate candidate who understands the needs and concerns of the people who live in this district because I am living the same life they are. But most importantly, I'm dedicated to working across the aisle to get things done in Springfield. As a former businessman, Peace Corps volunteer, and national political organizer, I believe I have the best skills necessary to represent our interests in the state legislature. I would be honored to get your support in this election. Thank you.
I'd like to now turn it over to Dina Misaki.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Representative Deanne Mazzocchi. And again, I do want to thank our moderator, the League of Women Voters, and all of the residents in attendance here today, and for those who are going to be watching. In 1967, the League of Women Voters was actually instrumental in securing the General Assembly vote for a constitutional convention referendum. One added amendment prohibited discrimination on the basis of sex and employment in housing. That worked. Others, not so much. Chicago got expanded home rule power to tax and add debt with less state oversight. Consequently, Chicago is drowning in debt and taking our local school dollars away because it ran out of its own money. That has to end. Legislators got a state income tax to pay off what was then a $1 billion deficit. and that didn't work. With every tax increase, the Democrats, who have continually controlled the General Assembly for almost all of the last 50 years, incurred more debt and not less. That's why I oppose, for example, the escalated income tax. It eliminates one of the few advantages that Illinois has left. Public employees got the pension right clause because they were trying to force Springfield to fund their promises. That didn't work. Madigan took the pension payment money for the General Revenue Fund, and now we're in a monstrous deficit hole, over $20,000 owed by every man, woman, and child in the state of Illinois. It's no wonder people are leaving. I want people to stay. I love Illinois. I was born and raised here. I've raised my family here. I'm a proud Elmhurst mom, lawyer, chemist, business owner. I'm also the current chairman of the Board of Trustees for the College of DuPage and your current state representative. I first ran for office because the College of DuPage was threatened by charges of waste, fraud, and abuse, and elected officials, one of whom's here today, wasn't doing their job. We cleaned house, we got back on track, and the college is now thriving. Our Springfield house also needs a cleaning, and I want to take our best practices that worked.
Your time is up.
Thank you. And I ask for your support and for your vote.
Okay, I would like now to start with the first question to Deanne. Last spring, SB 2213 was introduced into the state Senate and is currently in the Rules Committee. It has approximately 50 co-sponsors. The bill maintains existing environmental and worker protections in Illinois as of January 19, 2017, so that if federal minimum standards are lowered, Illinois will not follow suit. Please explain your position on this bill.
Yes, I'm very familiar with these federal statutes, and I'm also on the legislature's Environmental Committee. We have successful bills to build on in the legislature, such as the legislation to ensure drinking water in daycare centers is tested for lead and remediated. We should actually go further and test and disclose endocrine disruptor compounds that are found in drinking water, because those can have adverse health effects, including on small children. That's not even in the federal standards today. But when it comes to SB 2213, the bill actually isn't designed to bring best practices for environmental quality and labor management to Illinois. For example, local residents have expressed concern about ethylene oxide emissions at a local sterilizing plant. That plant operates under a federal emissions permit. SB 2213 specifically says it will not impose any changes to any existing federal permit terms or impose compliance requirements. So no major manufacturer with emissions under these acts operates in Illinois without a permit, and the bill won't actually allow us to impose more stringent standards. The bill is full of other problems that will lead to future litigation. So it's vital to our families to have clean air, water, and to protect worker health and safety, but this bill will not actually do the job. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that I understand. We'll just let Mr. Caffrey finish his answer in a minute, and then we'll go forward from there.
My turn?
Yep.
Okay. I support the provisions of SB 2213, also known as the Illinois Baseline Protection Act. There are significant and reasonable concerns in our state about the possible reductions in federal protections for clean air, clean water, and worker safety by the current administration in Washington. This bill attempts to reduce those fears by maintaining national standards as established at the beginning of January 2017. This bill would maintain those standards without adding any new laws or regulations. It would provide clarity and stability for businesses and others who operate in the state. The 3-year sunset provision provides balance in the short term while we understand the measure and the potential long-term impact by changes in Washington. I also believe it's important for Illinois to remain a leader in protecting the environment and in worker safety. For example, I don't want the Illinois EPA to be so weak that it can't react to a situation like what is happening now in Willowbrook. In that village, there's a company called Sterigenics, which is putting out a known carcinogen into the air called ethylene oxide. This chemical has been proven by the EPA to cause anything from skin and eye irritations to breast cancer and leukemia. And this release into the air impacts not just Willowbrook, but the villages and the towns that surround it, like Hinsdale, Clarendon Hills, Westmont, and Western Springs, all communities that are based here in District 47. We can't turn our backs on the people of Illinois, even if the federal government does. And no one wants our state to be in a race to the bottom when it comes to protections for our workers, our water, and our air.
Okay. Question number 2. Illinois passed HB 40 and Governor Rauner signed it into law. This law protects a woman's right to choose in Illinois in the event of Roe versus Wade is overturned at the Supreme Court level. What is your stand on supporting this fundamental right for women in Illinois?
I am pro-choice, and I supported HB 40. This law guarantees women's reproductive rights will be protected even if the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. It also ensures that women's health insurance will be for all medical care, not just some of their care, and that basic access to care shouldn't be a privilege based on income. I believe the legislature and the governor made the right decision in passing this law.
Before HB 40, Illinois law adopted the federal practice of not subsidizing abortions with taxpayer dollars unless, in the opinion of a qualified medical provider, the health and life of the mother was at stake. Ironically, since HB 40 removed the prohibition against taxpayer funding of abortion, procedure costs have been on the rise. Since we can't use federal matching dollars for this, HB 40 has actually put more stress on all of our public health dollars, which is hurting our elderly, disabled, and our other vulnerable populations who are being told that there are no social service dollars available for them. The feedback that I've received at the door, including from women who are pro-choice, is that this taxpayer funding mandate makes them really uncomfortable. So the premise of the question and the characterization of HB 40, with all due respect, is inaccurate. As for Roe v. Wade, its authors, such as Justices Blackmun and Stewart, thought that abortion should be available nationwide because that was their preferred legislative solution to population control. They overrode state legislatures at the time to do that, even though the states are supposed to be responsible for regulating health and welfare issues. So if Roe's legal reasoning that unelected federal judges should, through judicial penumbras, decide issues that are properly within the jurisdiction of the state, if that falls by the wayside, it just means we're back to the state legislatures. And ultimately, that means the decisions are back to you. Also before HB 40, Illinois law used to recognize that there were circumstances before a child was born where that child deserved some human rights status and legal protections. HB 40 also removed that. So what I think HB 40 illustrates is the law of unintended consequences at all levels. And I think our time would be more productively directed towards making it easier for women to find adoptive parents, helping women secure contraception prescriptions without a doctor's visit, and also ensuring that women have strong education and economic activities, because that informs their decision making and helps them to choose life.
Okay. Question number 3. Even with a budget, the state is still spending more money than it has revenues. Important services which were cut during the budget impasse have not been restored. State pension plans are still underfunded. The state's credit rating is still close to junk bond status. How do you plan to remedy the state's fiscal problems?
Definitely emphasis on plural. You know, there's an old saying that when you're in a hole, you need to stop digging. We should have stopped digging 50 years ago, because now we're in a 100 times bigger hole. In the 1970s, our state pensions were 41.8% funded, with $2.5 billion in unfunded liability. That sounds like a fantasy world, because today we're still only 40% funded, but now have over $250 billion in unfunded promises. That math doesn't work. And neither does the Democrats' approach of raising taxes, taking on more debt, and extending the debt, and then promising that somehow it's all going to work out in the end. For the last 50 years, false payment promises haven't worked, nor will they work for the next 50 years. So the state deadlock on pension and budget is a fundamental consequence of the fact that the state has refused to make hard choices, and we've dug ourselves so far down, there's no way to avoid making hard choices on the way coming back up. We also had hard choices at College of DuPage, too, but my record is that I know how to make them. We cut taxes, found savings, paid down debt, added new programs, got off probation, improved our bond rating. There were times when our opposition didn't even want to speak to us and boycotted meetings, but we assessed the situation, planned for the long term, and systematically worked with our stakeholders to get the job done. We have to do the same thing at the state level. Madigan made rating pension funds for the general fund practice for over almost 50 years. I co-sponsored HB 4229 to freeze discretionary spending until we've cleared our bill backlog and made our required pension payments. We need to impose pension management best practices, including more independent manager boards and asset transparency. We need to increase job growth so that we can build our revenue base without tax increases and get serious about preparing a workout plan so that a federal judge doesn't do that for us. That's just a start. But ultimately, we need to have the courage of our convictions and start doing what's right for the state of Illinois.
I'd like to turn it over to you now.
Thank you. Illinois has $7 billion in unpaid bills and $130 billion in unfunded pension liability. We can't truly invest in education, infrastructure, human services until we pay down this debt. My plan includes 3 steps. Prioritize the payment of overdue bills, reduce our unfunded pension liability, and create a sound retirement system for the future. The first one, prioritizing our overdue bills. We need a 3 to 5 year plan to pay back our overdue bills so the businesses, workers, investors know that the debt will end. And then make each year's allocation a mandated line item into the general fund. Second, reduce our unfunded pension liability. I believe that we should re-amortize our pension debt. Illinois would pay a level amount each year instead of an increasing amount, which will absorb over 1/3 of our general fund discretionary spending by 2045 if nothing changes. This plan requires slightly higher funding in the near term, but will save billions over the term of the plan. To ensure this plan succeeds, annual pension funding needs to be mandated each year. No more pension holidays. And then third, we need to create a sound retirement system for the future. And all options should be on the table. Let's talk about pensions. Let's talk about 401ks. Let's talk about Social Security as being part of the plan. And the solution should be one that is secure and stable for employees, but sustainable and affordable for the state. If we take these 3 steps, I believe Illinois can rebuild its financial health and our economy can thrive.
Okay, question number 4. What is your position on banning the manufacturing, sale, and possession of assault weapons in Illinois?
I support a ban on assault weapons. I support practical, enforceable laws that keep weapons designed for the battlefield off our streets and out of our communities. The challenge we face in crafting legislation is that assault weapon isn't a true classification of weapons. Instead of trying to create laws built on what an assault weapon is or isn't, we should focus on narrow, defensible restrictions designed to curb lethality with muzzle velocity, magazine capacity, and rate of fire. But now I'd actually like to take us in a little different direction and talk about the real problem facing our country as it relates to this issue. Our inability as a people to have a meaningful conversation about guns. Too often Americans have fallen into camps of us versus them. We've lost nuance and civil debate regarding guns. I want the debate to start anew. I want to assume good intentions with those who may disagree with me. If we can develop trust between one another, I believe that we can make great progress in this country towards protecting families from gun violence and protecting a person's right to own a gun. This statement doesn't necessarily mean that we're suddenly all going to agree on all the issues. But if we can learn to understand the other side's position and why they feel the way they do, I believe that we can find more common ground than we have in the past. And we can compromise. I mentioned a moment ago I support a ban on assault weapons, but I might be willing to let certain categories of assault weapons remain legal if I can get gun right organizations to compromise on other gun-related legislation. I want to make Illinois safer. And I want to talk with all interested parties so that we can make progress on gun violence protection. This is how government is supposed to work and how legislation is supposed to be made.
I'd like to turn it over to you now, the same question.
There's nothing more important to any of us than our loved ones' safety. Every time our nation hears the tragic news of a school or a workplace shooting, our hearts break. It's an emotional issue, and we all share the pain of seeing any American killed by a senseless act of violence. And as with so many issues that our society grapples with, this is a multi-level issue, and it's only going to be resolved by multi-level solutions. What I don't want to see are knee-jerk proposals that will only increase the number of illegal weapons that are out on the street. So we have to ask, what's the goal we want to achieve? I want to see less gun-related crime, no unlawful weapons use, and safe schools and workplaces. And I certainly don't want to punish or take away the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens. In Chicago, state and federal prosecutors, they don't really go after people who buy guns and then transfer them to other people involved in criminal activity. These are straw purchases. It's frightening. An ATF study performed by the Giffords Law Center found that 46% of the gun trafficking cases they looked into involved straw purchasers. And those people were associated with 26,000 illegally trafficked firearms. A recent study involving the University of Chicago Crime Lab found that in 95% of the cases where the Chicago police could identify a person who fired a weapon while they were committing a crime, that person was not the original gun buyer. These were stolen guns, straw purchase guns, or guns purchased on the black market. If we don't get serious about making Chicago prosecutors enforce those existing gun laws and others, like seizing guns under the clear and present danger doctrine, putting new laws on the books will not make a dent in crime statistics. So enforce the laws on the books already.
Okay, question number 5. What new initiatives would you propose to combat the opioid crisis in our communities, given that the death by overdoses in Illinois is up by 10%?
Mothers that I speak with are terrified about the amount and accessibility of illegal opioids available. And addiction can also happen from prescribed opioids as well. This is a complex problem that also requires a complex response. And my pharmaceutical background has given me tremendous insight into how opioid medications, while absolutely life-saving for some, are a scourge for others. Number one, we need to educate patients more before they take their first dose on the real-world addiction risks. We also need to educate addicts that overdoses happen because they develop high tolerance, don't dose for a while, and then their receptors reset and downgrade. So when they relapse, the dose that they take is now deadly. We need to end government hospital reimbursement practices that exacerbate the opioid problem. Federal hospital consumer surveys created perverse incentives to overprescribe opiates so that hospitals could get better scores on their pain management surveys and get better reimbursement rates. That's wrong. We have to get rid of incentives to overprescribe opioids when they aren't really necessary. Police officers have also told me they have difficulties when they encounter people who they know take opioids, but they do it because of mental health issues. They try to get the hospitals to do a psych evaluation. They try to have the hospitals hold these patients so that they can get them into a program. But again, our reimbursement structure doesn't incentivize the hospitals to do it. The hospitals are incentivized to kick them right out the door. That's why we also need to have more coordination options with outstanding private sector organizations that work in this area. We also need to start a program where patients can decide for themselves to substitute non-opioid pain medication for their prescriptions when they're at the pharmacy counter. And we also need to give more financial support and tools to parents who are trying to deal with their children's addictions. Finally, we need aggressive responses as anyone serving as a distribution vector in the schools and real-time reporting to parents about opioids that are found within their local schools. Thank you.
Illinois needs to combat the opioid crisis from many different angles, including the prioritization of treatment over jail, improved prevention education, prescription guidelines, and proper health care coverage. Fortunately for me and my family, nobody has been directly impacted by the opioid epidemic. Over the course of the campaign, however, I've canvassed at the home of 2 different families who each lost a son to an opioid overdose. One of the families that I met has been gracious enough to share the details about what happened to their son and described ways in which his death could have been prevented. Their research and guidance led me to discover 2 new initiatives that can reduce opioid overdoses, both of which are related to our prison system. The first one is allow prescribed addiction medication, like Suboxone, for an inmate if he gets incarcerated. Some jails will not allow Suboxone because it's considered a narcotic. But the practice of denying life-saving medicine for an addict does not help reduce the death rate. It can actually contribute to it. And the second one is begin parole immediately upon release from jail instead of waiting for up to 2 weeks. Surprisingly, the parole process doesn't always start after an inmate has been released. This pause can lead to relapses and overdose from a lack of oversight during this period of time. In the case of the family I'm describing, their son suffered through a horrible withdrawal during jail without the Suboxone in his body, and he was no longer to have tolerance for the opioids after he was released. And then without the risk of random drug testing that was part of his parole agreement, the incentive to stay away from opioids was minimized, and he relapsed. And you can guess the rest of the story. These two actions are common ways to reduce, these two actions are common sense ways to reduce the number of opioid deaths in one realm in the fight against the opioid epidemic. There are many other avenues we must pursue. We don't have time to discuss it today.
All right, so now I'm going to do the questions that were submitted by audience members. You have 1 minute to reply. Are you guys ready?
Yep. Sure.
All right, the first question is, what local issue or issues from the district are your priorities?
Am I going first?
Yeah, you.
Great. All of them? No, one of the things that's been a tremendous gift is serving as your state representative is that I see that there are all kinds of issues that everyone has to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and there's ways in which we in our office can try to serve you to make those issues better. Depending on where you are in Elmhurst, it can be noise issues and pollution from O'Hare. Down in Westmont, they're having economic growth concerns. In Oak Brook, they have concerns about how do they maintain their quality of life in the face of McDonald's leaving. When it comes to Hinsdale, there's issues with regard to the tollway expansion. All of these types of things and more I've been getting actively involved in addition to the issues involving Saragenics, to try to make sure that we're actually making some common sense policy choices that are also going to make sense for the residents that are there. And that's certainly my commitment to you, is that no matter what, I will be there to make sure that you actually do have a voice at the table and that your concerns are being heard.
Your time is up.
So there's 3 issues I've really been thinking about or working on. One is stereogenics, like Deanne mentioned. As I talked about it earlier, they're having a problem with this carcinogenic being released in the atmosphere. So I've been working with some of the organizing groups down in Willowbrook, and I attended a protest actually the other day where we stood outside their headquarters asking for the company to do something to stop that gas from leaking out into the environment. You know, right here in Elmhurst, we have issues with the fly quiet plan that's going at O'Hare. They're on a temporary fly quiet plan, but there's going to be a permanent fly quiet plan that's going to put in after the modernization of the airport has been finished. We need to make sure it's something that is fair and responsible for all the communities around the airport, and that we share in it and no one community is penalized unfairly. Then the last one is the I-294. If you go down in, where the expansion of that highway is going to happen between Western Springs and Hinsdale, we need to make sure we're protecting those communities and they don't lose out and are taken advantage of during that process.
Okay. Question number 2. What are your views on pension plans for elected officials? We'll start with you.
Right. Well, there's actually, one of the pension plans, actually the least funded pension plan, is called GARS. It's the General Assembly Retirement System. It's funded at like 15%, and potentially within 5 years we won't even be able to pay out into it. We need to reform that system. Because, you know, actually the job that Deanne and I are running for is technically a part-time position. We don't need a full-time pension plan for that job. I think a simple 401k with a match for the time that we're serving in office, for however long that is as an elected official, which shouldn't be that long, is sufficient. So for me personally, if I get elected, I will not accept a pension plan under the current GARS system.
I'd like to turn the question over to you.
Sure. I actually, one of the first things that I did when I was appointed as your state representative was I declined a pension and I declined taking health care benefits, because it is absolutely not the role of legislators to be getting even more benefits, particularly benefits that are long-term, where they are not transparent, and where you're essentially saying, I want to live off the backs of taxpayers for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's simply not appropriate. So unlike Mr. Caffrey, I would be perfectly fine with ending the legislative pension program.
Okay. The next question is, will state funding for social services be restored? Do you want me to read it again?
Right.
Okay.
State funding first.
Will state funding for social services be restored?
It's hard to answer that without knowing what in particular, oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's not easy to answer without knowing what in particular the author of the question is looking at. Unfortunately, you know, we're in a situation where our spending is not done in a way that I consider to be particularly systematic or transparent. And it's unfortunate that because of the rules system that Mike Madigan has set up down in Springfield, all of those types of decisions get essentially tend to bubble up to the leadership level. So if Mike Madigan wants them restored, he'll restore them. If he doesn't want them restored, he won't. And you know, it's really just a tragedy. And that's why I think this is one of the reasons why we need to get Mike Madigan and tell him, take a hike, Mike, because he's been controlling and manipulating the legislation so that even when you have situations where social services would enjoy broad bipartisan support, or where you might even be able to agree to do a continuing appropriation so that it doesn't have to go through his Budget and Rules Committee, he still shuts that down.
You know, there was a nursing home that closed in Girard, Illinois a couple weeks ago because the state wasn't paying its bills. Indiana will no longer do reciprocity with the state of Illinois for placing foster care kids. This is where our social services are right now. You know, Hubert Humphrey once said that the moral test of government is how government treats the people at the dawn of life, the children, the twilight of life, the elderly, in the shadows of life, the poor, the needy, and the handicapped. Well, how can we pass our moral test if we aren't able to take care of our seniors and our children in this state? And that's what we have to do. Now, we have a tough road ahead, but that's what we have to do. We have to work as hard as we can to pass that moral test and restore our social service network here in Illinois.
Okay. Are you in favor of explicit protection in the law for the LGBTQ community? Do you guys need me to read it one more time? Sure. Okay. Are you in favor of explicit protection in the law for the LGBTQ community?
Well, I'm a supporter of the LGBT community. I've been endorsed by the Equality PAC. But at the end of the day, it's human rights. And, you know, the rights for LGBT are human rights, and everybody deserves to have your human rights protected. So I think it's very important that we do that. We reach out and work with that community. As I said in my introductory statement, you have to work to everybody in the district that you're representing, and that is certainly a part of our district. You know, I have some political experience. I worked in 1992 for Paul Tsongas when he ran for president, the Democratic primary. He ran against Bill Clinton, in case anybody remembers that primary, or maybe I'm too old, I don't know. But I think he was the first national figure to support gay rights as part of his platform in running for office. That was part of the reason that attracted to me, because he cared so much about that. And gay rights, LGBT community rights are human rights, and everybody deserves to have their rights protected.
I'll turn it over to you now.
Sure. You know, once again, I'll be outside the door after this forum. I would really like to ask the person who authored the question what rights they believe they're being denied, because here in Illinois, we actually do have not only constitutional protections, but statutory protections on the basis of sex and gender. And if someone has treated you in a way that is not respectful of those rights, you may actually have a claim against whoever is involved. If it's something where you think that the law is unclear, I'm certainly open to hearing any particular suggestions on ways in which we can clarify the law if someone's trying to take advantage of a loophole. But I think, you know, we actually do have explicit protections. Perhaps sometimes it's just a question of where's the enforcement.
Okay. Next question. Do you support graduated income tax? Yeah.
No. The graduated income tax, one of the proposals that was put in front of the General Assembly during the last session would actually have started, would have taken the current rates of around 4.95% and started applying those to people who are earning $7,500 a year. And then those rates were going to escalate considerably thereafter. So this graduated income tax is clearly not something that's designed, as Mr. Pritzker has suggested, to target the billionaires. It's something that is designed to tax you and every other member of the middle and the working class. And furthermore, I hate to say it, but when it comes to graduated income taxes, it's the wealthy who actually have the ability to get around Illinois imposing those types of taxes. So what you're going to see is you're going to see even more high net worth people fleeing the state of Illinois, which is going to mean we have less funds available to fund our social services, less money to pay our debt, and we're going to put even more stresses on the system.
Illinois has one of the most regressive tax systems in the country. If you look at the bottom 20% of income earners in Illinois, they pay about 13% of their income in Illinois taxes. If you look at the top 1%, they pay about 4% of their income in Illinois taxes. That's because we have a flat income tax, we have high property taxes, and we have sales taxes. So that's what's driving it. I support a graduated income tax because I think it's a fairer tax. But it doesn't have to be the way Deanne described it. In the model I put out there, I think from $0 to $100,000 can be taxed at a slightly lower rate than what we have now. Income from $100,000 to $300,000 can be taxed at the same rate we have right now, and only income over $300,000 would be taxed at a higher rate. So that means that most people in Illinois would be taxed, have a tax reduction in their bill. I think this makes sense. We can work with the amounts in those either ends, but I think it's a fairer tax system which would provide more balance to homeowners and people who live in the state.
Okay. Next question. What will you do to reach across the aisle?
Is that me? Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, I think reaching across the aisle is the biggest challenge we have here in the state. And I think that's why I've called for new leadership in the state. I will not support Mike Madigan as Speaker, and I'm a Democrat pushing back against my own party. I also think we need a new leadership in the governor's office. Because what we've seen is two people who can't get along, who can't work together. That's why we ended up 2 years without a budget. We have to be able to work together to get things done. And the key thing to drive that is gerrymandering. We haven't really talked about gerrymandering today, but what it's done is created these really red and these really blue districts. What we need are more purple districts in this state, so the people have to listen to everybody in the community. And I know, representing this district, I will listen to everybody in the community because I'm a part of this community. I'm out there canvassing, talking, going to all doors, Democrats and Republicans alike, to get their ideas so that if and when I go to Springfield, I'm able to properly represent everybody in the community, not just a few folks.
I'd like to turn it over to you now.
Sure, thank you. I actually think that uniparty government in the state of Illinois would probably be disastrous because Bruce Rauner and Mike Madigan, one of the reasons why we had difficulties is because Mike Madigan was trying to push through a pretty extreme agenda, and I was actually quite happy to have a governor who was going to at least plug the wheel instead of grease the wheel, which is what I think we're going to get if we have J.B. Pritzker as our next governor. But in terms of what I would do to reach across the aisle, it's one of the things that I've already done. When I was on the board of the College of DuPage, we actually had a very significant philosophical and ideological split between the old members of the board and the new members of the board who were elected to try to clean things up. And I actually did the work to reach across the aisle to find different ideas that we could get bipartisan support for. And when we did that, we were able to actually get the college moving in a new direction, which wound up being a good thing for COD. So I do have a past history of doing this, and I would certainly take those same tactics and apply them down in Springfield.
Okay. This one's going to be long, so I'll read it twice.
Okay.
All right. Legislative district boundaries are literally all over the map and are drawn by the party in power. Do you favor a nonpartisan border to set legislative boundaries? Legislative district boundaries are literally all over the map and are drawn by the party in power. Do you favor a nonpartisan border to set legislative boundaries?
I certainly believe that our constitutional obligation, which is that our legislative districts will be contiguous and compact, that power has been abused. And unfortunately, Mike Madigan's tentacles don't reach into just the state legislature. They also reach into our Illinois State Supreme Court justices. And our Supreme Court justices have been unwilling to enforce the constitutional provision that requires these types of compact, contiguous districts. To me, if that's the only way that we can actually get fair districts drawn, bring it on. I'm certainly open to any good ideas that are going to mean that we can comply with our constitutional obligations.
turn it over to you now.
Yeah, you know, as I implied in the last question, I think gerrymandering is actually one of the core problems here in the state of Illinois and the country for that matter. We've become so polarized as a nation because the way we're drawing up our districts, that only people from the extreme end of their own parties get elected. But we need more balance, and that first has to start with ending gerrymandering. I'd love to see a model like what they use in Iowa. They have an independent commission that's bipartisan, that creates the maps, and then they hand the maps over to the legislature. Well, all they can do is simply vote on it up or down, yes or no. They can't go in there and tweak it. And if you look at the borders in Illinois, you know, they're pretty much around counties and cities, not drawn through precincts like we have here in Illinois. And for my friends in my own party who sometimes say, hey, you know, this is how we can fight against other states like Texas and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin when they draw unfair borders, I say that's not right. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. We should be able to win because of our principles and our values, not because we here in Illinois are rigging the system.
All right. I would like now to start with closing statements. We'll start with you, Jen.
Great. Thank you. First of all, thank you for a great afternoon. I love Illinois. As cheesy as it sounds, I enjoy going door to door and meeting people at campaign events because it reminds me daily how truly great Illinois is because of the hardworking and compassionate people who live here. And I'm optimistic about our future. I know we're going through challenges right now, but we are too wealthy and talented a state not to be more prosperous. I envision a future where Illinois is growing and thriving, where businesses can find success and longevity, people can find good, well-paying jobs, and families can find a friendly and inviting place to live. I also envision a Springfield that is run by leaders who collaborate, who focus on public service for service sake, and who have confidence in its people. My name is Jim Caffrey, and I'm running for state representative. Please help me make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum today. I'm so grateful that you are here to help our state and to engage on important issues. And those who chose this voter forum over the Bears game, you definitely take your civic duties seriously. Illinois needs your good judgment. I have a proven reform record. I led a public institution out of crisis. I worked with both sides of the aisle, and we found good solutions to very controversial issues. We got the job done. Once we got COD back on track, it could grow, thrive, and start innovating for the future. And that's what Illinois also needs. I'm not doing this for a political machine or a pension. I'm doing this because Illinois is a great state with great people, and we have suffered from bad Springfield government long enough. As your state representative, I am there to represent the issues that matter to you and do what's right for you and your state, our state, and I am Deanne Mazzocchi, your state representative, and I ask for your support. Thank you very much.
All right, our time is up for this forum. Please join me in showing your appreciation for the candidates. Your participation as a candidate and as a voter is essential to preserving our freedom and our country. Please remember to vote on or before November 6th, as one vote can decide the election, and that one vote could be yours. Thank you.
And good afternoon. I'm glad to see all of you here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon to take part and to listen to these candidates. Today's forum, we will have the candidates for the DuPage County Board for the 1st and 2nd districts. And the candidates drew lots prior to the forum starting, so that will govern how they will be speaking, their order of speaking. The way it will work is that each candidate will give a 2-minute opening statement, after which all of the candidates will be answering their 5 league questions. Those are in the brochures that you received. They will have 2 minutes for those. And then we will be taking audience questions. They will have a minute to answer those. And then each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. We will be alternating how the candidates answer questions so that the same candidate is not answering first every time or second every time. So we will be alternating the order. And we will go as long as we can. And hopefully we'll have a very productive meeting today, and that you will get an understanding of who these candidates are. In both of the districts, you will have the opportunity to vote for 2 candidates, and early voting begins September 27th, and Election Day is in November. So again, pay attention to what's being said. Consider what the candidates have to say on some very important issues affecting you and all the people in DuPage County. And we will, with that, we'll start with the opening statements. And we'll start to my left, Zara Suratwala, and she will give the first opening statement. And you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you to everyone here who's attending this forum. I'm Zara Suratwala, and I'm running for a seat on the DuPage County Board in District 1. I'm running because we need more diverse representation at all levels of government. We need voices from various professions, backgrounds, perspectives. We need empathy, kindness, determination, and common sense. We need a new generation of leadership for DuPage County, and if we can bring balanced representation to the County Board, we can see an improved quality of life for all DuPage residents. I believe strongly that leading begins with listening. This means that in order to lead, we must listen to the needs of those we represent. I have spoken to many people in the course of my campaign, and I have heard their concerns and their issues. I bring to the County Board my willingness to lead by listening first, and I bring a strong desire to collaborate with other elected officials so that by working together, we can bring positive change to the areas it is needed. As a professor of English and as a mother, I know firsthand the importance of high standards for the next generation. I also bring a global perspective, having lived abroad in both Egypt and in Thailand, and my life experience in the international arena give me unique and very useful tools in making connections with others. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will remind all of the candidates, we do have timekeepers who will be holding up signs at 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and stop, so that when the timekeepers hold up the stop sign, please do stop, because otherwise I'll interrupt you, and so I'd like you to be able to finish your thoughts. Okay, our next opening statement will be given by Sam Tornatore.
Thank you, Gilda, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and all of you who have given of your Sunday afternoon. I am Sam Tornatore. I currently serve on the DuPage County Board from District 1. I was first elected in 2012 and re-elected in 2016. I currently am chair of the Legislative Committee as well as the Development Committee, which oversees all building and zoning in unincorporated DuPage County. I'm particularly pleased with a program that we instituted about a year ago called the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. It's been nicknamed Clean and Lean. What we've done is taken 55 abandoned or properties that are in a state of disrepair, taken care of them, either abolished or demolished them rather, or cleaned them up, certainly to the benefit of the neighbors. In addition, I serve as vice chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, which deals with the DuPage County Care Center and the 350 people who are there, most of whom are on Medicaid or Medicare. In addition, the Health and Human Services Committee oversees everything from Meals on Wheels to adult protective services. I was appointed in 2013 by Governor Quinn and reappointed by Governor Rauner to the Illinois Housing Development Authority. It's a $1 billion agency which finances and oversees affordable housing in Illinois, and I also currently serve as a board member of the DuPage County Health Department. I live in Roselle with my wife, Marcia. I have an adult daughter who is married, who lives in Chicago. I'm an attorney in Bloomingdale. I appreciate the opportunity for being here today and presenting my credentials, and I look forward to the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next opening statement is District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
Hello, my name is Ashley Selman, and I am running for DuPage County Board in District 1. I grew up in Wheaton, where I attended Wheaton Public Schools and was able to receive the benefits of growing up in our great DuPage County. I now live in Addison, where I recently was able to purchase my first home. I graduated from the George Washington University with a degree of International Affairs, and then I returned home to Illinois. For the past 6 years, I have worked in nonprofits working in qualitative research and data analytics. I am running for the DuPage County Board because we deserve better from our elected officials. We deserve a strong, balanced budget that lives within our means and plans well for our future. We deserve a diverse board with differing parties from all walks of life who can advocate for their residents. We deserve tightened ethics rules around campaign donations and contracts for county business. As we will discuss more during this forum, I support common sense solutions to reducing the county's expenditures, such as pay freezes for elected officials and reduction in unnecessary personal benefits for elected members and their families. I support increased transparency through various methods, including moving meeting times to when working people can attend, as well as being a member who communicates with their members year-round. Thank you to the League of Women Voters of Elmhurst for hosting this important event to educate our voters.
Thank you. And the final District 1 opening statement will be from Dino Gavanis.
Thank you, Gilda, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us here today. It's a great forum, and we hope we can give you some information that will help you make some decisions in the coming months. My name is Dino Gavanis, and I currently do sit on the DuPage board, having been appointed by Chairman Cronin back in May after the vacancy created by Paul Fichtner's resignation. I currently sit on 6 of the committees, including Stormwater and Public Works, Environmental, Economic Development, Technology, and Finance. My background is a little bit different. I have an engineering undergraduate degree and a master's in finance, which probably gives me, I believe, an edge to understand both the fiscal and the technological problems inherent in the DuPage County Board and within DuPage County. My background, I grew up in Chicago. I was fortunate enough to go to Lane Tech High School and University of Illinois and DePaul. So I've been in Chicagoland all my life, moved out to DuPage County in 1977, and created a business there in 1986 for the last 25 years, an insurance brokerage firm, so I know what it's like to have a payroll. And we hope we can continue the work we've done so far on the board, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the District 2 candidates, and the first opening statement is from Steve Nero.
Thank you. I'm Steve Nero, candidate for DuPage County Board, District 2. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I'm a lifelong DuPage County resident, born and raised right here in Villa Park. I graduated from Elmhurst College with a Bachelor of Science and earned my master's degree in Public Administration from the Illinois Institute of Technology. I've been married for 4 years to my lovely wife, Corinne, who's here with me today. I'm honored to be by her side as she works at Hines VA Hospital, rehabilitating blind military veterans. I'm currently employed as Director of Business Development for SafeBuilt, an innovative firm that partners with over 1,000 local governments across the country, finding efficiencies within their operations. In 2011, I was elected Westmont Village Trustee and re-elected in 2015. Now let me speak for just one moment about what I hope to bring to the County Board. First, partnering with local governments to achieve genuine property tax relief. We do this through shared resources, knowledge, and introduction of best practices and consolidation. This is the foundation of my municipal and professional experience. As a village trustee in Westmont, we successfully entered many intergovernmental agreements with the county and surrounding jurisdictions. We consolidated police and fire dispatch, fire districts, IT and accounting services, public works duties, and more. Westmont continuously saves valuable taxpayer dollars by being innovative and doing a lot more with less. Number 2 is public safety. As co-chair of the Westmont Public Safety Committee, I understand how important it is that our first responders have the resources and support that they need. When we spend wisely in other areas, we can ensure that all of our first responders have state-of-the-art equipment, training, and their safety. I am proud and humbled to have both the Westmont Fire Chief and Police Chief endorsements, as they have my unwavering support. Number 3 is jobs. In my tenure as village trustee, we have consistently worked together to bring jobs and investment to Westmont. We brought in a Mariano's, a Tesla, Standard Market, large residential developments, and many other successful businesses, creating thousands of well-paying jobs. I will work to ensure that DuPage County continues to be a premier destination for new businesses and job growth in Illinois. You have my commitment, and I will work tirelessly for you on the County Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next District 2 candidate opening statement will be from Liz Chaplin.
I want to thank all of the League of Women Voters and all of the candidates and all of you in the audience for attending this afternoon. My name is Liz Chaplin, and it is my honor and my privilege to have served as your DuPage County Board member for the past 6 years. I've been married to my husband, Brian, for 29 years, and we have lived in District 2 for 27 years. We have 3 children and 2 dogs. My husband, Brian, is a third-generation IBEW Local 701 electrician. I have worked at Windy City Wire for the past 23 years. I am currently working in accounts payable. My civic engagement includes serving as the board member of the DuPage Railroad Safety Council. I was the recipient of the 2014 prestigious Lauren Elizabeth Wilson Champion Award for my commitment to the issue of railroad safety. I was the past president of Midwest Ballet Theater, and I taught religious education at St. Joseph's Church. I first got involved in politics working with federal, state, and local governments to clean up chemicals discovered in our water. I was appointed to the DuPage Water Commission, where I fought to clean up the commission's fiscal mess. In my 6 years on the county board, I have led efforts to clean up county government and defended the essential services people rely on. I have been fighting for good government in DuPage County by promoting transparency, working to rein in the salaries and benefits of elected officials, opposing lucrative county contracts for associates of sitting board members, and I am pushing to ensure that tax dollars are spent efficiently on infrastructure, public safety, and human services. You have 2 votes for county board, but only 1 candidate is fighting for reform, and that's me, Liz Chaplin.
Thank you. And our final District 2 opening statement is from Pete DiCiani.
Pete DiCiani. Thank you, Gilda, and welcome to City Hall of the great city of Elmhurst. My name is Pete DiCiani, and I'm your DuPage County Board member of the 2nd District. I'm honored to be here and thank the League of Women Voters for this community opportunity. I'm a lifelong resident of DuPage County, a graduate of York High School and Elmhurst College. I started my printing business at York High School, and thankfully, my firm DiCiani Graphics is now in its 34th year. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Rose, a CVICU nurse at Loyola, 24 years next month. We have 3 amazing children, all educated right here in Elmhurst Public Schools. Brianna, my youngest, is a freshman at York. My 2 older children attended the College of DuPage. My daughter, Natalie, studying ultrasound, and my son, Petey, is now studying business at Pepperdine University. Prior to coming to the county board, I served as mayor of this fine city from 2009, being sworn in on the county board at the end of 2012. I'm humbled to have led this town and our county through 2 FEMA declarations, bringing home hundreds of millions of dollars, of federal dollars, to help our residents and businesses rebuild after the storms of 2010 and 2013. I'm also proud to have brought leadership to every post that I've served, whether it's president of the Elmhurst Children's Foundation, to leading this great city, and now today being your voice on the county board. That voice has brought home tens of millions of dollars in stormwater dollars, tens of millions of dollars in transportation dollars, as we're going to build a new train station here shortly, to this region that I so proudly serve. That voice has made DuPage County the first to carry EpiPens on each and every county police officer. That voice has authored and co-authored today 6 state laws, making the quality of health care, access, and public safety better and more accessible to our residents. But there is much more to do, and that is why I ask you to consider giving me the opportunity to continue to serve each and every one of you, so that I could proudly advocate for the near 1 million people of this great county that we call DuPage. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to the league questions, and we'll revert back to District 1, and Sam Tornatore will answer the first question first, and we'll have 2 minutes. And the question is, the following resolution will be included on the November 6th York Township ballot. Shall our representatives and senators in the U.S. Congress sponsor and/or support measures that will address the serious threat posed by climate change? Do you support or oppose the resolution, and why? Mr. Tornatore?
Thank you, Gilda. I do support measures that will address the issue of climate change, of course subject to scientific evidence, to doing anything that we can to continue to clean up our environment. As a member of the Environmental Committee at the County Board, we instituted a number of programs. I sat on that board with both Liz Chaplin and Pete DeCiani. A number of programs that were instituted while we were there. The oil and pumpkin recycling, believe it or not, which is an environmental problem. Latex paint recycling, electronic recycling. We have generated over 1 million pounds of electronic recycling over the last 5 years. Shredding events which have taken place. We've worked with Cool DuPage in order to make DuPage and our county campus a more environmentally friendly place. We are LEED certified, which has resulted in about a $750 million savings in energy costs. We have also reduced permit fees. And this was something that was instituted by the Development Committee, where businesses that come into DuPage County who are environmentally friendly will have a reduction in their permit fees than those businesses that are not. Obviously, it has increased the environmentally benefits to DuPage County as a result of what we've done. And, of course, the Clean and Lean program, which I indicated before, which has taken 55 properties and brought them into a state of repair when they were unsightly. All of those things are what I consider to be important for DuPage County, and hopefully we can continue those in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The next answer will be given by District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
The same question, correct?
Right, same question.
Sure. I also support this resolution. Globally, we all know that addressing climate change is essential work and that we may already be behind on it. Our county-level elected officials must also address the serious threats posed by climate change. Issues of flooding in our own neighborhoods, especially in parts of District 1, remind us that climate change affects everyone, not just those who live near a coast. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next response will be from Dino Gavanis, again, District 1 candidate. Same question.
Well, I think everyone should support a resolution that protects the environment. I don't think there's any question about that. And I also believe that the Illinois and federal EPA should actively enforce the rules that they have put into place to protect our environment and our citizens. An example of the failure so far of them to do so is a situation with Sterigenics. You can look that up, obviously, but the DuPage County Board unanimously passed a resolution that the proper authorities compel them to cease operations until investigations can be completed. It should be noted that the Illinois Attorney General Office knew of this situation back in 2014, but also failed to appropriately act. Our citizens' health and safety has to remain our #1 responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. The next response will be from District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. The short answer is yes. Climate change is real. I think it's time our leaders start making the environment a priority. As Westmont trustee, I led the charge on sustainable infrastructure improvements, stream water cleanup projects, recycling events, and more. Taking good care of our environment needs to happen everywhere, not just with our legislators. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next response is from District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Thank you. I support the resolution as well. I believe the science is in on climate change. With the warming of the planet, the oceans, the ice caps melting, the extreme weather, there is no other good explanation. I believe that climate change is one of the most serious threats that is facing our society and that it does need to be addressed at every level of government.
Thank you. And the next response is from District 2 candidate Pete DeCiani.
Well, after enduring 3 100-year floods as a mayor and as a county stormwater commissioner for District 1 and now later for District 2, I fully support efforts that address climate change. And as the only former congressional candidate in this race, I have taken formal stances on many environmental issues, from pushing higher MPG from our automobiles to more efficient methods of construction. It is important that we reduce our carbon footprint. Many can talk a big game, but as the chairman of environment for the county, I've led the effort. From protecting our fresh water with the resolution I championed through the committee that I led to protect the Great Lakes from Canadian nuclear firm that was looking to dump their radioactive material right next to our largest water supply. to synchronizing our traffic lights throughout the county so that we'd have less idle and less carbon footprint from our county. I've led solutions to these challenging problems. In addition, while not affecting climate change, I've been a leader in the disposal of prescription medicines, especially opioids, which is a gateway drug to heroin. All of the medicine drops throughout this county were worked through our committee under my leadership to make prescription drugs, take them off our streets and out of the medicine cabinets away from our children who are likely to experiment. Lastly, I add my wife, Rose, and I both drive hybrids for over 10 years. And my firm, DCNE Graphics, utilizes green practices such as using soy-based inks rather than petroleum-based inks, and print on American-made FSC-certified papers.
Thank you. And the final answer to this question is from District 1, candidate Zara Suratwala.
I strongly, of course, support this resolution. Climate change is real, it is serious, and if we don't address it, then all the hard work we do trying to make our communities better for our residents will be in vain. Without a healthy planet on which to live, all other issues become moot. Climate change needs to be a priority. Deprioritizing it or looking the other way or minimizing the threat will only harm us, and the effects of climate change are already seriously impacting people around the globe. It is only a matter of time between each and every one of us is personally affected by climate change.
Thank you. And now we'll move to the next league question, which will be answered first by District 1 candidate Ashley Selman. And the question is, League of Women Voters has taken a stand to eliminate township government. Do you have a plan to increase county government efficiency while maintaining quality services and infrastructure through consolidation and shared services? Please explain your plan. Again, first district candidate Ashley Selman, and you have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. Consolidating duplicative units of government and streamlining services can save the county and taxpayers money and provide better services. Consolidation efforts led by the DuPage County Board currently have publicized projected savings of $100 million, but evidence of those savings has not been publicized, nor is it reflective in near-term budgetary projections. I would work to expedite this work and increase transparency so we as residents can better understand what savings have thus far been realized and ensure that we are efficient in the future. The efficient consolidation of the Election Commission into the clerk's office must continue and must be a transparent process. Another area of consolidation that should be explored is abolishing the recorder's office. As a county, we should examine why we have an office which is not required by the Illinois Constitution and that our fellow collar counties have eliminated without reductions to services. To improve these specific cases, transparency around planning and cost savings must be increased to county residents. These issues and any others must also be considered with urgency, not simply reviewed during election years when action is delayed until it is politically helpful for the ruling party. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question will be answered next by District 1 candidate Dino Gavanis.
Thank you. It's really all about cost savings. The DuPage County Board, through its ACT initiatives, accountability, consolidation, transparency, has consolidated a number of departments in a number of areas. Examples is, of course, the Election Commission, which has been folded into the county clerk's office. There have been 2 fire protection districts in the area of Woodridge, Darien, and Lamont that have been merged. Obviously, the DUCOM 911 center has been open now, which consolidates the 911 activities. The county board is committed to examining any area that could potentially reduce the cost of government without compromising its most vulnerable citizens. That is why one of the questions that came up during this was the idea of perhaps abolishing township government. And although everything is up for grabs and everything needs to be accounted for and true transparency has to exist, until such time as some other entity, such as a municipality or county, can do something better, I would certainly like to see more investigative work done in that area.
Thank you. The same question will now be answered by District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. Yes, this is the foundation of my municipal and professional experience. In Westmont, we have consistently found ways to do more with less. Through consolidation, partnerships, technology, I consistently push the village to be an innovator in its operations. Here's a few of my plan's priorities. A, analyze the budget and find areas where we can partner or share resources with others. B, initiate consolidation opportunities with local jurisdictions, ensure DuPage County remains a true leader in this. C, hold the line on property taxes while examining ways to reduce them. D, investigate new technologies resulting in increased efficiencies. Thank you.
Thank you. The next answer is from District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Thank you. I believe that government consolidation is more about public relations, political marketing, and publicity than actually saving tax dollars, despite the hype and hoopla that surrounds such efforts. In the last several years, there have not been any government consolidations that has actually saved any meaningful amount of money for the taxpayers. Has any of your tax bills gone down? Has anybody seen any savings? There was a rush to consolidate the Naperville and Lisle highway districts, and little, if any, thought was put into detail surrounding the merger. Questions have been raised about the projected savings, and some believe that the consolidation will cost taxpayers more money to merge the districts. Any consolidation efforts have to be well thought out and planned. I believe that residents have much better access to local representatives and that local government is the most responsive. My philosophy is every single level of government needs to be frugal and fiscally responsible. Those are the main issues that we want to see done. Taking away power from one government and consolidating power to one other government and have one government oversee everything is not necessarily the best for the residents either.
Thank you. And the next response is from District 2 candidate Pete DeCiani.
DeCiani, thank you. Shared services and intergovernmental cooperation is key to eliminating duplication and waste while still supplying essential services. I think the recent unveiling of the new DUCOM 911 Center housed right at DuPage County is a centerpiece of that great success. We took our old abandoned youth home, which is now housed at Kane County with an intergovernmental agreement, repurposed it, and consolidated multiple 911 centers into the new DUCOM site. With many District 2 communities, including Elmhurst, serviced by the second largest 911 center in the state, it's essential that we provide premier 911 services with the latest in technology to help save lives. This representation of commitment between our municipalities and our county is one of the many great examples of working together. We can do great things and provide the best in services while maximizing the tax dollars of our residents. I would like to see further shared services in the area of law enforcement and the county providing more manpower to assist our communities in the area of drug and gang violence, which is up nearly 18%, according to our state's attorney, Bob Berlin. If the county expands its leadership in this area, and the communities lend us some of their officers, we can expand our dedicated team effort to reduce violent crime and take the war on heroin and opioids, which are taking the lives of so many of our kids and adults. I'm proud that the DuPage County Board has taken the lead in our state in eliminating unnecessary and dated forms of government, such as lighting and paper fire districts, which I fully supported. Both the paper fire districts were both in my district, including Westmont and Downers Grove. Thank you.
Thank you. The next response is from District 1 candidate Zara Suratwala.
I support consolidation as long as it doesn't interfere with providing essential services to residents. Consolidation can increase efficiency, and with salaries being paid, this can be an effective way to save taxpayer money. If any consolidation efforts commence, residents should be given a chance to provide input, and the process should be transparent. I strongly support the merging of the Election Commission into the County Clerk's office. This will bring a savings of about $300,000 a year. Consolidation can lead to improved fiscal oversight, which means we can better fund necessary services such as flood alleviation, address the opioid epidemic, and address the mental health crisis. And we can spend money on fixing issues that are important to residents, such as airport noise. These things can only happen if we improve the budget, and I intend to help make that happen. The budget has not been handled correctly, and the county will soon face a deficit if this is not rectified. If the budget issue is resolved, we will then have the funds to bring back Meals on Wheels, address the opioids, and give much-needed attention to mental health care, mental health education, and importantly, destigmatization. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final answer to this question will be from District 1 candidate Sam Tornatore.
Thank you. Perhaps I'm going to be the only one up here who's going to take a specific stand against the League of Women Voters position. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the position to eliminate township government. Local government continues to be our purest form of government. The township's statutory duty to assess property, maintain roads, and general assistance is best continued locally, and it's done for about 1% of your tax bill. If the townships were eliminated, someone would still have to assess your property. Most likely it would come from someone at a county level or state level, not someone locally accountable to the electorate. In addition, if no one was taking care of the roads and it was devoted to the county or state persons, once again, you would not have a local person who's accountable to the people who live in that township. And lastly, general assistance helps those less fortunate. If you've ever been to York Township or Addison Township or Bloomingdale Township's food pantries, you will see that they have more there than most 7-Elevens or convenience stores. People who go there to supplement what they need to feed their families. These are working people who can't afford what's necessary to feed their families on their salaries. The county has done much to consolidate. The reason that we haven't been as successful as some might like is because it's a painstaking process. And to answer a question that was raised earlier, has your tax bill gone down? Let me rephrase it. The county portion of your tax bill has not gone up in 10 years. And that's because this county board has done what it can to consolidate and reduce costs. We hope to continue that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to the third league question, which will be answered first by Dino Gavanis. And the question is, according to the July 25th, 2017 issue of Forbes magazine, DuPage County had over 200 employees earning over $100,000 annually. The report states that a top staffer had an annual salary of $201,750. Do you have a plan to reduce personnel costs? And again, the first answer is from District 1 candidate Dino Gavanis.
Thank you, Gilda. Ladies and gentlemen, I kind of wrestled with this question, so I did a little bit of research. And first of all, let me phrase that I believe that we need to have professionals running our county. I don't think anybody disputes that. Professionals come at a cost, and we must remain competitive with the private sector if we're going to attract and maintain and retain talented individuals. The individual that makes $201,000, as noted, is a county administrator that is actually the county administrator, and he would be akin to a COO of a major corporation. So if you go to any source you'd like and you ask what is the average salary of a CEO of a $500 million organization with thousands of employees, you'd find it's about $480,000. So consequently, I don't find that as being objectionable at all, that level of $201,000, if we're going to attract the right people that do the right job. There are also approximately 600 employees, by looking into this thing, 600 employees in the various districts in Illinois, 600 employees that make much more than that. Ladies and gentlemen, I just didn't understand the question as being something that was a problem when it came to being fiscally responsible in the county level on payroll levels. I think the county has done a phenomenal job, as Sam indicated earlier. The tax levy has not gone up in, I believe, 12 or 13 years in DuPage County. So consequently, I think we're doing the right job, and I think that to retain good people, you need to pay the freight. Thanks.
Thank you. Same question will be answered by District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. The short answer is yes, but it doesn't mean we sacrifice skill or talent. The biggest way to reduce personnel costs is by the 4-point plan previously discussed. DuPage County needs to have a board member who understands the day-to-day operations of local government, someone who can help minimize workflow and reduce needed staff. I do it in my professional life for Westmont, and I'm ready to dive in and improve the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Yes, thank you. So DuPage County has some of the best employees in the state, I believe. I've worked with them. They are really wonderful staff. DuPage County head count of 2,178 is down from 2,270 in 2010. I believe any further reduction in staff would hurt the services that people rely on and really impact employee morale. Here's where we can save some money. DuPage County is home to some of the highest paid elected officials in the state. Place a 10-year salary freeze on all county elected officials, eliminate pension, health care, and all stipends for all county elected officials. Also, DuPage County spends near over $500,000 on individuals who are appointed to serve on part-time boards and commissions. Eliminate or reduce compensation to no more than $50 per meeting. This is where we can save money, and this won't impact any services or any morale at the county.
Thank you. Same question, District 2 candidate Pete DeCiani.
Thank you, Gilda. While we are always watching our head count as well as our cost, DuPage County is larger than 7 states in population. We oversee nearly $500 million in our budget and have approximately 2,000 employees, down from nearly 2,500. With those dollars, we oversee the county's largest law enforcement office, the county's largest public health department, which is responsible for 35% of the poor population in this county, the state's attorney's office and the 18th Judicial Court, and the regional office of education. With that said, 10% of our employees are making over $100,000 annually, and 1 making $200,000. I feel we are very competitive given the service and the positive outcomes we provide each and every day. If you compare our salaries to municipal counterparts, just in the area of police, for instance, we start our deputies at $49,000 at the county. In the city of Elmhurst, in the village of Downers Grove, they start their officers at $78,000.
Thank you. And the same question will be answered now by District 1 candidate Zara Suratwala.
Thank you. I believe reducing costs must start with the salaries and benefits paid to elected officials. DuPage County Board members are paid almost twice the salary of other county board members, and they just voted to give themselves a raise. We need to institute a 10-year salary freeze. We need to stop providing benefits to DuPage County Board members unless there is a demonstrated need. Many county board members have full-time careers or are business owners from which they already derive benefits. And so without a demonstrated need, this is a waste of taxpayer money. DuPage County Board members outsource their lobbying to various firms at a cost of $282,000 in 2018 alone. This outsourcing needs to be either reduced or stopped completely. Kane County Board members, for example, spend zero on lobbying because they do it themselves. Several DuPage elected officials receive a car allowance of $450 per month. This needs to stop. These actions alone would bring immense savings to the county, and the money that is saved can be applied towards important services that improve quality of life for residents, such as those I mentioned above.
Thank you. The same question, District 1 candidate Sam Tornatore.
Well, let me answer the question. The question was about our county personnel. County personnel costs are market-driven. A substantial number of those that have been indicated to make over $100,000 a year are public safety jobs. In addition, they're professionals, engineers, IT people, attorneys, people in the Regional Office of Education. I've always subscribed to the belief that the county should get the best and brightest. Additionally, many of these employees who are getting over $100,000 a year are union employees, and we at the county are governed by collective bargaining agreements which take into consideration cost of living and step increases. Regarding the county administrator who makes over $200,000 a year, it's less than the Lake County administrator makes. It's less than many school district administrators make, certainly less than many CEOs make, and certainly less than many city or village administrators make, and he's dealing with a county of 1 million people, a $450 million budget, and he's very good at what he does. Just to be clear, no one got a raise. No county board member received a raise the last time around. No county official, much to their chagrin, elected or otherwise, received a grin by this county board. I don't know about anybody else on the county board, but I don't get a car allowance and I don't get a stipend. So where this is coming from, I'm not sure. All I could speak to is the county board, and I can tell you that our salaries have been held. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final answer to this question will be from District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
Thank you. We must start with the salaries of elected officials and political appointees to save taxpayer funds and to ensure our fiscal health in the years to come. Like Liz, I also support a 10-year salary freeze for county board members. DuPage County board members are among the highest compensated in the state for part-time work. A pay freeze would allow these positions to continue being paid, which is important to ensuring that anyone can serve regardless of personal finances, while allowing the excessive salaries to normalize over time. Similarly, I support eliminating health care benefits for part-time elected officials. Many board members work at other jobs or even own their own companies in addition to their board service. Taxpayers should not have to pay for the health care for elected officials and their families who have alternative ways to obtain it through their private employment. Elected officials must serve as an example and see their own salaries and benefits reduced before addressing any personnel. Thank you.
Thank you. The fourth League of Women Voters question will be answered first by District 2 candidate Steve Nero. And the question is, county activities are often opaque to the average citizen, and most do not even know what district they are in. What is your vision for better communication to show more accountability and transparency to your constituents? Again, up to 2 minutes to respond. And the first response is from District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. Well, after walking the entire district 2 times, this couldn't be more true. People don't know what district they're in, they don't know who the representatives are, and it's not alone. The county isn't alone. It's at the local level, the state level, and every level. I plan to do the same thing I've done at the Village of Westmont. We televise and stream meetings both live and recorded. I want to improve social media usage and effectiveness. We can do better. Partner with communities by sharing content and increase collaboration. Again, we can do better. And also, I'd like to create a mobile-friendly website. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question will be answered next by District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Thank you. I am very accessible to my constituents and anyone in the county. My phone number and email is published on the county website as well as other public forums. I make myself available to anyone that has a question, and I attend many different meetings, and throughout my district I attend different organizational meetings, so I'm very accessible. I am the only board member that has a blog. Blogging allows me to share important information with the public, but it also allows the public to leave a comment or share a concern with me. So I just believe being accessible and letting people know that you're out there is really the best way to promote what we do at the county board.
Thank you. Same question, District 2 candidate Pete DeCiani.
Well, thank you. I believe my best advocacy to be known and accessible to my constituent is to be involved in the community. Coming to the county with over 20 years of nonprofit and civic advocacy clearly separates me from my competition. President and Director of the Elmhurst Children's Assistance Foundation, EOKT, which is our county's largest children's charity. Director of Metropolitan Family Services of DuPage, the county's largest social service provider. WAC, co-chairman of the Ray Graham WAC, the county's largest disability provider, are amongst the many ways that I stay visible and accessible in the community. Yes, there's Facebook and there's social media. I have a website with email. My cell phone is even on there with my contact information so people can easily find me. But I find that being out in the community, working in the trenches with our most vulnerable people is where I do my best work and where people have taken notice. My legislative efforts, both locally at the state and federal level, I have already been able to help everyday people like the Laguerre family, the Jury family, the Alvarez family, and the Mitchell families navigate the legislative and healthcare challenges that families face every day. This has led me to be asked by both Governors Quinn and Rauner to be the only county commissioner to lead the Illinois Autism Task Force, which provides guidance to the Illinois legislator and governor's office on important issues to help families deal with everyday needs. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question will now be answered by District 1 candidate Zara Suratwala.
DuPage residents need a direct line of access to their elected officials. This is essential for their leadership to actually work for them. From the middle of the workday timings of the meetings, 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, to the way decisions are made with little input from residents, the system is currently exclusive and it needs to be inclusive. Changes need to be made to the way information is disseminated before meetings and the ability of residents to bring their issues forward. As a writer, I look forward to following Liz Champlin's excellent example by posting a detailed account of every county board meeting on my website, so that each and every DuPage County resident can easily learn what actually goes on in both committee meetings and in general meetings, and what decisions are being made. Not only that, but each and every one of my constituents will know how to reach me and will be confident of receiving an answer from me. I am already very active in my community, and I will continue to do so. I will be available at events year-round, not only during an election cycle. In between events, I am always easily reached online, and I reply back in a timely fashion. With knowledge comes engagement and better representation. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question will now be answered by District 1 candidate Sam Tornatore.
The fact that members of the general public don't know their county board district or who their members are is indicative of how we are and what we live in. People are most concerned about who's running for president, even in a non-presidential year. Each and every one of us who are out there campaigning have to fight that fight every day, because they don't know about us. They don't even know that there's an election, and we need to tell them that there's a county board and we're running or we're currently serving as their county board people. Also, ironically, people who may not come out to meetings may be an indication that we're doing our job. Anybody who's ever served on a board or a commission knows that people come out when they're not happy. And when they are happy, they generally stay home. Our meetings are open to the public. Our meetings are streamed live. Our meetings provide for public comment. Regarding evening meetings, we tried that. We used to have 4 evening meetings a year. We had 1 and 2 people who would come. No one would come. And our people would have to come, our staff people would have to come in the evening and take time away from their families. So we went back to the 10 o'clock meetings in the morning. And it's surprising, if anybody has ever been to a meeting at 10 o'clock, you'll see that our public comment section is filled. Each and every one of our seats is there. Regarding being involved, I have 7 different cities in our district. I go to board meetings. I'm involved in chambers of commerce. I don't just do it during an election cycle, but I do it throughout the entire time. I've yet to return a constituent email or call, and I'll continue to be available, as I have been for the past 6 years, to the residents in this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question will be answered now by District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
Transparency in board practices and decision-making and access to local officials are 2 areas lacking in the current board leadership. Meetings are held during the day on Tuesdays, when many District 1 residents cannot attend and make their voices heard. Decisions about spending taxpayer funds are made with little public oversight and with little explanation offered during full board meetings. I will fight for easily accessible publication of recordings of committee meetings and adjusted meeting time schedules so that there are more times when the community members can attend these meetings. Furthermore, I will continue to communicate with residents of District 1 to solicit their advice and explain why I vote the way I do. I admire the example of member Liz Chaplin, who often posts on her website about topics that are being discussed by the board and information that will help her constituents. I will also continue attending community events. I would want to hold community meetings with constituents year-round, not just during election years. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final answer to this question will be from District 1 candidate Dino Gavanis.
We see apathy and misinformation all the time in politics. People come out to vote at a surprisingly low rate. My feeling is it starts early. One of my objectives, should I be elected, is to expand greatly the areas of communication and civic involvement in the middle schools. Simply put, and I'm digressing, but simply put, an educated, informed, engaged electorate is bad government's worst nightmare. Okay. I've met with school superintendents to see if there's a way to expand the teaching or the exposure to government in our middle schools and high schools by the use of county board members, elected county officials, state legislators, to see if there's a way they can participate in the classroom discussions with these students, to start it early. Those areas, I think, can start people getting involved in the political process at a much earlier stage in life. We need to engage our youth in the political process. Voter apathy, as we know, is extremely high, and it's got to be reversed. Another measure that I'm exploring is to have the county board district town hall meetings. I think it would be a great way to hear from our citizens if we had a District 1 town hall meeting with the 3 elected county board members and maybe the chairman, things like that.
Thank you. We'll now move to the 5th and final League of Women Voters question before we go to the audience questions. And this will be answered first by District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin. And the question is, as part of the strategic plan, the county must foster the continued growth of its economy. Ensure DuPage County residents have competitive job skills. Foster economic growth and development. Champion DuPage County as a desirable place in which to live and work. What are your suggestions for fulfilling this plan? And again, the first response is from District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Thank you. So no doubt, DuPage County is a great place to live and work. And it's home to some of the best colleges, universities, and apprenticeship programs. Recently, we had a presentation done at the board by Innovation DuPage, which is a collaboration of local universities and businesses that support young and upcoming entrepreneurs with a focus on small business. Small business is the backbone of the economy, and that is a really good first step. But what I believe is lacking is a reinvestment in our community and our infrastructure. Currently, 56.8% of the DuPage County revenue source is sales tax, which includes the RTA sales tax that can be utilized for public transportation and public safety. All of the other collar counties, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will, use the RTA tax for transportation. None of the RTA tax is being used for transportation in DuPage County. The RTA tax is an integral part of our funding for our roads and our public transit. The county needs to start using the RTA tax for reinvestment into our roads and our public transit system, because without investing in our infrastructure, DuPage County won't remain a desirable place to live and work.
Thank you. Same question will now be answered by District 2 candidate Pete DeCiani.
Thank you, Gilda. As a former mayor who helped champion nearly $1 billion in economic growth during the Great Recession from 2009 through 2012, I'm proud to have left my hometown of Elmhurst in a secure financial place, restoring fund balances as well as regaining our AAA credit rating. Now, as Vice Chairman of Economic Development for this county, I see the county needing to provide a fertile commercial work environment with low commercial property taxes and the recruitment and retaining of value-added businesses that bring quality employment and sales tax to our great county. In addition, working with our schools to broaden the curriculum to include skilled vocational training in the area of manufacturing and the trades is critical to keep up with the demand from our thriving county. As Vice Chairman of Economic Development, I have been meeting with school superintendents to let them know of this void. Many of our middle schools and high schools have abandoned those programs in quest for being college prep, leaving a large void in our workforce, as well as leaving our non-college bound children without a path. Working with our community high schools, Technology Center DuPage and the College of DuPage, I see investing in quality comprehensive public education will not only give every child an opportunity, but will keep up with the demands of a thriving commercial base. Combined with the quality residential housing base, and you have the ingredients for a strong DuPage County with quality services with lower property taxes, since companies will be reducing the homeowner's tax burden while still fueling our local schools and municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you. This same question will now be answered by District 1 candidate Zara Suratwala.
One important way to bring in economic growth is through green jobs, especially in the field of solar energy. I believe many consumers are interested in reducing their carbon footprint, and the county is in a great position to educate consumers about their options, encourage businesses to bring their green solutions to the consumer, and generate jobs in the process. Also, we need to end no-bid contracts for county projects, thus stimulating and encouraging businesses that might otherwise not have access to certain projects. By giving projects only to certain business owners instead of opening up the playing field to those who do not have a relationship with county officials, we give more businesses the chance to thrive. Infrastructure projects are also important. They provide jobs as well as promote safety, convenience, and interconnectedness. DuPage County is already a desirable place to live and to work, but we have unmet potential that, with some new leadership and fresh perspective, can be reached. Thanks.
Thank you. Same question will now be answered by District 1 candidate Sam Tornatore.
We have 35,000 manufacturing jobs in DuPage County that are not filled. People either can't work, don't have the skills, or are not interested in it. We've developed WorkNet DuPage, as Liz has indicated, Innovation DuPage through the county, through the College of DuPage, in order to bring people into these incubators so that they can figure out how to start and run a small business. Our cooperation with the business community through an organization called Choose DuPage has generated 5,700 new jobs over the last 6 years. With Western Access at the forefront, we're looking at 100,000 new jobs as a result of what we might have at O'Hare Field and Western Access. Our bond rating is a AAA. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the state at 2.6%. We pay lower interest on bonds than any other county. We have a balanced budget, a flat tax levy. In the past 10 years, this continues to make DuPage a great place for business. Regarding green jobs, we do that. We get federal grants, which are conditioned upon green energy, green jobs, green permits, green businesses. We're doing what we can regarding that. Lastly, regarding no-bid contracts, I've heard this a couple of times and I've read about it. I'm unaware of any no-bid contract at the county that's not statutorily provided for. If anyone is aware of a no-bid contract that violates some statute, my suggestion is you bring it to the ethics officer, bring it to the state's attorney's office, and maybe it'll be investigated. But every contract that we have is either bidded out or it's exempt as a result of being a professional service. So let's start getting the facts straight before we start accusing people of being corrupt.
Thank you. The same question will now be answered by District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
Thank you. Working with towns within DuPage County and the collar counties can draw more green jobs and tech-friendly industries such as data storage facilities and will grow our tax base as well as expanding job opportunities. In District 1, development related to the O'Hare expansion can be a significant source of revenue. However, the DuPage County Board must be a leader in this project to ensure that the economic benefits are felt in DuPage, not just in neighboring Cook County. The board can also support local businesses by ending no-bid contracts and working to open up the contract bidding process, even if not required by law. Bringing new businesses to DuPage and encouraging the growth of businesses already in our county should be a top priority for elected officials, and it will be one of mine if I'm lucky enough to be elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, District 1 candidate Dino Gavanis.
I think many of us are in agreement on this particular question. Having sat on the Economic Development Committee, economic growth and development are areas that are currently very near and dear to me. And I plan to continue working heavily in that area after the election. DuPage County has a long history of good economic growth, low unemployment, as Sam indicated, 2.6, good schools, good infrastructure, low crime. None of these attributes occur by accident. They're a result of economic growth. They are a result of people starting businesses, employing people, generating revenues, buying houses, buying cars, spending money. Economic growth means you get to increase tax revenue without increasing taxes, a position that I firmly hold, by the way. Economic growth means a better way of life for all of our citizens. The board and the Economic Development Committee are currently exploring ways to increase entrepreneurship in DuPage County. One of my hot topics is technology startups and technology incubator programs. Love to see that happen and happen quickly. This would be home to technology, startup operations anywhere in the county, skilled training facilities, I-390 development programs. This in turn would attract investment from outside the county and around the globe. I am an entrepreneur. Having started businesses, real estate developments, and employing people, I get it. This is what we'd like to see in DuPage County.
Thank you. And the final answer to this question will be given by District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. These items are all extremely important to DuPage County. Economic growth and development all start with making sure the county and municipalities are easy to do business with. In my professional life, I help communities do just this. I streamline processes and improve work quality, all in the name of saving time for the developer. Improving their experience is essential to consistently attract investments. Aside from that, we must make sure that our fees are competitive and that the County Economic Development Department has the tools in place to foster growth. Incentives, outreach, marketing programs, jobs trainings, the list goes on and on. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to audience questions where we have 1 minute for the response. And the first response will be given by Pete DeCiani, who is the District 2 candidate. And the first question is, 12 years ago, DuPage residents approved a non-binding resolution stating that one person should not hold more than one elected position at a time. What is your position on this? And again, the first response is from Pete DeCiani, District 2 candidate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it wasn't 12 years ago. It was about 6 years ago, because it was when I ran for the county board and I was the mayor. I won the primary handily with the love of trying to still run the community that I grew up in. And after looking at the challenges with holding 2 spots after the primary, I decided it wasn't a good thing. So, and after serving now on the county board, I do not think it's a good thing. That they have 2 elected offices, being a county board member and the mayor. While some in Cook County and other communities have been able to manage it, I think in our county it is the right thing to just have one hat, serve one governmental body, and I'm proud to have made that decision before it even came to a vote. It was important to me while I won the primary with that intention, without even taking any type of compensation for the second position, to go ahead and give up that dual capacity. So I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question, 1 minute, District 1 candidate Zara Suratwala.
I'm against it as well. I think you need to focus as a public servant, and you want to make sure that there is no contradiction in the intentions behind what you're doing from one position to another. So I think one office is sufficient.
Thank you. District 1 candidate Sam Tornatore.
I agree. Holding one elective office at one time is more than enough for me.
Thank you. District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
I think you'll be getting a lot of the same head nods. I absolutely agree. One elected office, so you can focus on serving your constituents and make sure you're using taxpayer dollars most efficiently, is the sign of good government.
Thank you. District 1 candidate Dino Gavanis.
No question. I agree.
Thank you. And District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I'm one of the candidates that would have to resign from my position as village trustee. It's already been discussed with my mayor. I believe it's a conflict of interest. I never would consider it. I can't do both jobs effectively. I think we'd be lying if we say we could. And last but not least, I do have family and friends, and I have to keep my wife happy, so I just don't have the time to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final response to this question, District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Yes, I agree with everyone on the panel. Being a county board, being any elected official, it's a lot of work. And there's no way that you could possibly serve in 2 positions and do them both well.
Okay, thank you. The next question, again, 1 minute response, will be answered first by Zara Suratwala. And the question is, the State Board of Elections has recently stated that 80% of the voting machines are not secure in the state of Illinois. What can you do to assure the voters that the machines in DuPage have the latest software updates and are secure for the election? Again, District 1 candidate Zara Suratwala.
So the question is, what can we do to ensure that the machines are
secure?
Well, so I don't know if any of you are familiar with Jean Kazmarek, but she has been a pioneer in trying to bring this issue to the forefront. I think we just need to hold people accountable, and I think, I feel like the question is a little, the way it's worded is, I think we need to ensure that before we hire people and then while they are giving us their services.
Thank you. Sam Tornatore, District 1 candidate, same question.
I think that each and every one of us would hope that the election machines are working properly. I have never heard that 80% are not. If they're not, that really scares me. What we can do, not being an election machine expert, is just ensure that our election judges make sure that the voting is done properly, that the tabulating is done properly, and make sure that the Election Commission, which will soon be under the leadership of the county clerk, continue to see that the vendors that we're receiving these machines from are giving us proper machinery. I'm not sure I agree with the premise of the question that 80% are not working, but if it is, then certainly we'll deal with it.
Thank you. District 1 candidate, Ashley Selman.
Thank you. I think this is an incredibly important issue, not just in DuPage County, but nationally. We've seen at the federal level requests for funds to either buy newly updated machines that do have better security or to fix broken ones have been denied by the Republican Congress. That's something that just concerns me as someone who likes small d democracy. So I think working with the federal level to push that those bills get passed so that we can ensure that our elections are safe is incredibly important. I also would encourage you, frankly, to vote by paper. The machines are not safe. They haven't been, and it's not just Illinois, but Illinois is one of the few cases where our voting system was penetrated. It's been reported widely in national news. So I'd encourage you to vote by paper and encourage your neighbors to do the same as well.
Thank you. Dino Gavanis, District 1 candidate.
The integrity of our elections is paramount, but I don't know of any voter fraud or incorrect elections that have occurred in DuPage County in recent history. If there is, please let me know. I think that the quality of the Election Commission will drastically improve, and certainly it has had some problems with regard to efficiency. I don't think there's any doubts about that. But I don't know of any situations that really compel us to look at it from a voter fraud standpoint at this time.
Thank you. District 2 candidate, Steve Nero.
Thank you. Well, I think first and foremost, we need to make sure that we continue to hold the vendor accountable. We need to investigate other potential solutions. I've struggled with this poor election result for years personally, and will ensure service levels exceed what we've been used to. We do so many great things in DuPage. I think this is one of the top things that leadership needs to focus on to make sure that we're all confident in our system. Thank you.
Thank you. District 2 candidate, Liz Chaplin.
Yes. Climate change and election integrity are probably the two most important issues right now facing everyone. With regards to the safety of the machines, I believe that was what the question was, not fraud. I think that's what we're going. So in DuPage County, we've had some election night issues, and some of our machines were damaged this last March. As people said, Jean Kazmarek has been a watchdog at the Election Commission. She's been asking for the serial numbers of those machines because there is some concerns that those machines that were, there was a settlement between Liberty Systems and the county to provide us with new machines. There is some question that those machines are old refurbished machines, and to me that is not acceptable.
Thank you. And District 2 candidate, Pete DeCiani.
Well, I think public safety is, and the hundreds of kids we're losing from heroin is a little bit more important than our election machines. I do think it's important that we as a county do trials with our equipment prior to the election, run sampling, make sure that their machines are running efficiently. I'm looking forward to the consolidation of our election commission. I'm also challenged by a lot of our state laws that have been changed where you can now when you get your driver's license, register the vote without even having to show a proof of citizenship. I did this the other day when my wife and I moved, we downsized, and didn't ask for any type of a proof of citizenship or birth certificate, anything. So I said, what's to prevent fraud? They said, it would be a federal offense if somebody lied to us. And I said, that's interesting. So those are the concerns that I have of integrity in elections, the laws that state legislators are making in this state, and some even throughout this country that are allowing potentially undocumented people to potentially vote in elections where they truly be voted by citizens. So I think that's the bigger issue that we're faced with today. Thank you.
And unfortunately, time does not allow us to have to take any more questions. There are some excellent questions up here. I would encourage those who submitted them to talk to the candidates individually, either after the forum or at another time, to get your questions answered, to find out their views. We will now be moving to closing statements. The first closing statement will be given by District 1 candidate Sam Tornatore, and there will be 1 minute for that. And also, after the closing statements, please remain, because we will have a statement from a candidate for the county clerk's office. So with that, I will ask Sam Tornatore to give a 1 minute opening statement. And again, he's District 1 candidate.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. County government is serious business. We have a $450 million budget. We have almost 1 million people in DuPage County. We're dealing with school safety issues. We're dealing with an opioid heroin crisis. Our schools are the best in the state. We have a court system that works. Our roads and highways work. We have business that come into DuPage County because of our AAA bond rating and our balanced budget, and because we're business friendly. All I've ever asked for as an elected official, and this is the 8th time I've been on a ballot, is for an informed voter. Vote for who you think is the best candidate. And given Illinois' state and the state of our state of Illinois, I simply ask, do you feel more confident about your county government today than you have in the past? And if you have, then I ask for your support and your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next closing statement is from District 1 candidate Ashley Selman.
Thank you to our host, the League of Women Voters, for hosting us today, and thank you for attending or watching this recording later. DuPage County and District 1 especially is an amazing community, and it has been an honor to get to know neighbors throughout District 1 during this campaign. I am running to ensure that our future is as bright as it can be in our county. We can choose on November 6th to fight for a fair and balanced budget with varied revenue streams to reduce our dependence on sales tax revenue. We can choose to increase the accessibility and transparency of the board, which affects our everyday lives. We could choose to create a board with high ethical standards who works to plan for our future. My name is Ashley Selman, and I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. The next closing statement is from District 1 candidate Dino Gavanis.
My wife Melanie and I live in Itasca, and that is District 1. And District 1 has been my professional and personal home for years. I had my business there for 26 years and my home there for 10. I look forward to the opportunity to serve it by ensuring that the DuPage County Board continues to support the interests and the well-being of its residents. I see my purpose, both during my special appointment and as an elected board member, as providing a lifetime of business and community leadership and expertise to the work of the committees that I have been appointed to, and helping the people of DuPage County and my District 1. Thank you.
Thank you. The next closing statement is from District 2 candidate Steve Nero.
Thank you. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters and all the volunteers for hosting today's forum. This has been a great opportunity to inform voters of their choices this coming election. I will fight tirelessly to protect your tax dollars while safeguarding our neighborhoods and preserving high quality and cost-effective services. I will not be taking a pension or health benefits. In fact, I led the charge in Westmont to eliminate this practice. I have a track record of building consensus to achieve our shared goals. I look forward to having the honor of serving each and every one of you. Please vote for Steve Nero as your next DuPage County Board member in District 2. Thank you.
Thank you. The next closing statement is District 2 candidate Liz Chaplin.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting, and all the candidates, everyone up here. This is tough, and I appreciate everybody's interest and that we're all getting involved. I think it's really a good thing. And the citizens who came out to observe. I'm going to keep my statements short, because I mentioned in my opening comments, it's been my honor and privilege to serve as your county board member for the past 6 years. I've been fighting for good government by promoting transparency, working to rein in salaries and benefits for elected officials, and I'm pushing to ensure that our tax dollars are spent efficiently on infrastructure, public safety, and human services. You have 2 votes for county board, but only 1 candidate is fighting for real reform. I humbly ask that you cast 1 of your votes for me, Liz Chaplin. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next closing statement is from Pete DeCiani, District 2.
In closing, I just want to highlight some of the accomplishments. 10 years of elected experience, 4 years as mayor, 6 years on the county board, leading $1 billion in economic development, including new Marianos, both in Elmhurst and in Lombard, the new Elmhurst Memorial Hospital, which provides over 4,000 jobs, 900 jobs on those Marianos grocery stores, direct connect to the Elmhurst Quarry, which is something we never had until myself and Paul Fickner championed that. Graw Mill, just completed last week, $5 million stormwater project. Saved thousands of District 2 homes from being declared flood-prone property by fighting the maps. Leading 3 100-year storm events, 2 FEMA declarations, bringing home hundreds of millions of dollars to help our residents and businesses rebuild. 6 state laws, both passed in bipartisan fashion, Republicans and Democrats coming together. And lastly, $12 million in transit money that I helped bring home to build the $18 million train station for the city of Elmhurst. I'm proud of my accomplishments. I hope that I can count on your support for DuPage County District 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our final closing statement is from District 1 candidate Zara Suradwala.
I am passionate about DuPage, having chosen to live, work, and raise my family here. I am proud of my district, and I look forward to representing it. I also look forward to a much different landscape of leadership by the time our children take the reins. One where people feel well represented, where they feel they have a voice, and where they know that casting their vote is indeed a powerful thing to do. I view public service as service, first and foremost. And I am humble yet confident when I think about the kind of ally and advocate that my neighbors want. I am willing and eager to learn and to work hard. I'm Zara Suratwala for the DuPage County Board, District 1, and I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. And before I thank our wonderful candidates here, I would like to turn the microphone over to Jean Kazmarek, who is running for the DuPage County Clerk. She will have 3 minutes to make a statement. Her opponent in the election, Paul Hines, did not RSVP, so instead of having a forum between the 2 candidates, Ms. Kazmarek has an opportunity to make a statement. Ms. Kazmarek.
Thank you, Elmhurst League of Women Voters, for hosting this forum. It gives me hope that all of you would be here on a hot Sunday afternoon. Democracy is not a spectator sport. I am an ordinary citizen and political outsider, devoted to making our county a better place. 13 years ago, I found myself evolving into a volunteer watchdog of DuPage elections. It's not how I planned my life. I came to the sobering reality that if I didn't make necessary changes at the Election Commission, no one would. I worked to stop the destruction of public records without compliance to the law. I exposed that public records denied to us were being stored in a warehouse owned by the former commission chairman's brother. I effectively fought the abuse of power, secret personal and business ties with vendors, overcharging, and the political contributions and excessive fees of the commission's contracted law firm. I managed to accomplish all of this and more from the outside. Imagine what I could do from the inside. Early on, I saw that the commission wasn't truly independent. Commissioners were appointed by one person. Votes were unanimous with no meaningful discussion. The only independence I saw allowed for a lack of accountability with no oversight. In 2005, I began calling for the return of our elections to the clerk's office. This vision has become a reality. The county clerk will be taking over that responsibility next year. That's why I'm a candidate for this office. If you ask 100 other county clerks in Illinois what their #1 responsibility is, he or she would reply, administering elections. My deep conviction for an open, fair, secure, and reliable electoral process is the unfinished work of the same movement which led to the formation of the League of Women Voters. We must never take the right to vote and to have our vote counted for granted. As county clerk, I will approach all aspects of the job in the same conscientious manner as I have with election integrity. I will work toward requiring lobbyists to report their activities, who, what, when, where, and why. I have been calling for the recorder's office to be merged with the clerk's office the way it's done in over 90% of Illinois counties. I know what it's like to be shut out of government, and I vow not to subject any of you to that treatment. The county clerk's office should be representing all of us. I beg you to join me. Take ownership. This must be our campaign, a campaign for a government of due diligence, of ethics, of inclusion, of courage, of impacting positive change.
Thank you.
Of making democracy work.
Thank you very much. That brings our forum to a conclusion. If you want to view information about these candidates and all of the candidates on your ballot, I would encourage you to go to IllinoisVoterGuide.org. That's Illinois, spelled out ILLINOIS, voter, VOTERGUIDE, no spaces, .org. And that will be live by October 1st. All of the candidates on your ballot will be listed, so I encourage you to do that. Again, I'd like to thank all of our candidates today. I would like to thank the District 1 candidates, and you will have the opportunity to vote for 2 of these people. They were Zara Suratwala, Sam Tornatore, Ashley Selman, and Dino Gavanis. That is District 1, so if you're a voter in District 1, these are the candidates from which you can choose 2. And in District 2, our candidates are Steve Nero, Liz Chaplin, and Pete DeCiani. So again, from these 3 candidates, you have the opportunity to choose 2. I encourage all of you to be informed. I thank everybody who came today. Please do go out and vote on November 6th. Or vote early on September 27th, but don't vote often. So thank you for coming today.
The City of Elmhurst will be collecting pumpkins for composting at the Elmhurst Public Works Garage, 985 South Riverside Drive, on November 3rd from 9 a.m. to noon. This annual pumpkin composting event is held in cooperation with Scarce, an organization dedicated to inspiring people to care for the earth in DuPage County. Thousands of pumpkins have been purchased this season with the intended use of fall decor. When the season comes to an end, many of these pumpkins are thrown away. The City of Elmhurst has teamed up with Scarce to provide an easy outlet for residents and business owners to recycle decorative pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns. Why compost pumpkins? They are full of nutrients that are good for the soil. They are 90% water. Most of the pumpkins processed in the United States are grown in Illinois, so this keeps the water and nutrients here. Composting pumpkins returns nutrients and water back to our earth. All pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns can be dropped off at the event for composting. However, only the pumpkins themselves will be collected. Participants with jack-o'-lanterns decorated with stickers, candles, yarn, etc. should remove any materials in or on the pumpkin before delivering for composting. For more information about this event, please call 630-530-3036 or visit elmhurst.org.
We love coming to the fire station. We've come for the last few years, and they have all the trucks out, the firefighters are out, so you can ask questions, and it's just fascinating, and I think it's really educational too.
There's an actual sliding fire pole that we have. A technical rescue team simulation of a high-angle rescue. We have inside, we have various activities and educational handouts, and we have an inflated bouncy house for the young kids, although I'm tempted to take my shoes off and go in there myself. And we have our fire apparatus and squad cars that are here for hands-on, and that the kids and the adults can go through.
It's always a nice, exciting, fun time. Most people don't get to see something like this up close, so we like to show it off.
It's kind of a way for the public to come and see the fire station, see what the firefighters do, take a tour of the firehouse, and then we have a bunch of activities.
Welcome to the Elmhurst History Museum. I'm Patrice Roach of the museum staff, and today we're going to take you on a tour of our current exhibit, Chicago Rink Rats, the golden age of roller skating. We're here in the Chicago Rink Rats exhibit with our curator of exhibits, Dan Bartlett. And Dan, thanks for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of the Rink Rats exhibit.
We're standing right now in front of one of the central pieces of the exhibit, which is a large map of the Chicago area that has copies of a lot of the artwork that roller rinks used to advertise themselves. This is only a small fraction of the number of rinks that were in Chicago during the Golden Age, but we wanted to create a real visual sense of just how many rinks there were, drawing skaters in from the Chicago area and providing that kind of recreation and community that was so prevalent during the Golden Age.
To Paris comes the latest export from America, the skating vanities. Acclaimed as the hit of the Paris season, the vanities now plan a world tour.
Today we have the Ice-Capades, which features famous ice skaters. In the 1940s, we had the Skating Vanities, and the Skating Vanities featured a young skater by the name of Gloria Nord. And here we have one of her costumes worn probably around 1945 that's on loan to us from the National Museum of Roller Skating in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I think it speaks a lot to the importance of roller skating at this time. Millions of young women in particular wanted to go to the rinks and emulate Nord's graceful skating style. And to have a costume that she actually wore in performance here really speaks to the popularity of roller skating during the Golden Age. During the Golden Age of roller skating, there were really only two ways to make music loud enough for the skaters to hear above the din of the wheels. And the first of those was to hire an orchestra or a band, and that was expensive. The second way was to acquire a theater organ. And the Elm Rink here in Elmhurst had one of the largest and best theater organs in the Chicago area. 4 banks of keys, over 1,000 pipes. We have a few of the pipes here. We also have the sign that hung on the side of the organ that the organist would change their name so that the skaters knew which of the organist was playing. So if you skated at the Elm and you skated to organ music at the Elm, you heard some sound coming out of one of the 3 pipes that we have here.
Thanks for taking this sneak peek of the Chicago Rink Rats exhibit with us here at the Elmhurst History Museum. You'll want to be sure to see the entire exhibit, which is open through November 4th, 2018. For more information, please visit our website at elmhursthistory.org.
In an effort to provide residents with an easy, secure, and safe way to dispose of unwanted or expired prescription drugs, the City of Elmhurst has a collection box in the Police Department lobby. This safe and easy drop-off location allows residents to be eco-friendly and keep medications out of the water supply, in addition to keeping them out of the hands of our youth or individuals who might otherwise abuse prescription drugs. Prescription painkillers, or opioid pain relievers, are to blame for nearly 3/4 of tragedies caused by drug overdose. Residents are encouraged to look through medicine cabinets and bring these expired or unwanted medications to the Elmhurst Police Department. In an effort to make it even easier for residents to dispose safely of their unwanted or expired medications, the Police Department hosts annual prescription drug take-back days, where a portable prescription drug collection box is available at various community events. For more information, visit www.elmhurst.org.